50% lead. A lot. I think you even chuckled at it because you were somewhat.
No. It was the party standing.
Yes, party standing. Yes, exactly.
Oh, the party. Okay, yes. Okay. But yeah, I'm not surprised by that lead at all because Andrew was always popular among the people of Jamaica more than Mark Golding.
Look here, I'm going to say this. It's going to get wider because JLP don't start campaign yet.
Exactly.
But Churchill, what you credit this 14% lead to?
Scratchy, the report is also saying that the opposition leader has slipped by 5%.
All right, social media. I'll leave that to you.
That's your point, GG. Social media.
Social media, because they have realized that the propagandizing of the information, people are finding them out little by little.
Hold on, guys. I hear Delroy. I saw Delroy type something, so I want to get Delroy point. Delroy, how much you credit to Lawrence Rowe, the Lawrence Rowe saga?
No, before the Lawrence Rowe saga, what it has done for us, it has made sure that Canon Dixon can no longer at this time show himself to be a credible pollster. Because if you remember the interview, and he was asked about polls, and he said, polls? I don't know about that. When you say polls, what you mean? That was a direct subliminal jab that the polls were fabricated. To suit somebody. So all this time, just like when somebody has conquered and say, the polls were never genuine. And therefore, automatically discredits any poll that Canon Dixon can put out right now to convince Jamaicans, even comrades. But vote Delroy.
Well, it was also, to ensure that there wasn't any challenge from internally,
Right, but before we jump past here, I want to... Yes, Mr. Josh. I want to complete what Delroy was saying, because he didn't just made that reference. One other thing he said, remember, I'm a numbers man. He was very clear.
Yeah, so he's an accountant as well.
No, not just the accountant.
We
understand the numbers here too. Like
pause.
Right.
So you can manipulate numbers.
One moment.
Come. Yeah, he was talking about the numbers as far as.
Yeah, I know the polls in talking, but I just made reference about the accountant.
The political numbers.
I might say something. My gathering is that, you see? I'm interested to see how the numbers break down neighbor as it relates to the independent, those who are not partisan. Because what I gather, the pastor, the prime minister, when you look through the COVID pandemic, when you look through Hurricane Beryl and these major disasters, even when he's on giving these new social housing houses, I gather that he's scoring a lot of points with neutrals, because persons who are not either on any side are looking at somebody who is stable, who seems to be, fair, and somebody who is not only articulate but genuinely cares about the people. And I gather, what is going to make the difference in this election, aside from PNP supporters or JLP supporters, is the persons who are oftentimes never regarded or counted in an election. The person who's just going to say, listen, I got some increase in my salary as a nurse, and she's just going to leave our lunch hour and just go to the polling station and vote. Or the person who never get a house, but then glad some Miss Matty get a house beside her, and she might be a PNP supporter, but you know what she do? Get up early in the morning and go vote. And I think it's the neutrals and the persons who have been impressed with the Prime Minister that has caused these numbers to go up, and it's going to hurt the PNP quite significantly in this general election. That's what I very believe, because you get it from person. In fact, somebody said to me, listen, boss, I never see so much money from my pay before, I'm going to vote against my pay. So these are some of the things that are happening, and I believe the PNP is very fearful of that. That's why they attached the new housing program, That's why they attached it.
I'm glad you said that, Mackie, but I want to go back to the Prime Ministers, because someone, I don't remember if it was Neighbor or someone else who asked what makes the difference between the two of them. There are a number of things. The sincerity factor that is displayed by the Prime Minister. You ever notice when Mark Golding seemed to be hugging anybody on the campaign trail, it doesn't seem generic. It doesn't seem natural at all. It's almost as if he's having to make an effort to do it, and him just hold them and let them go. Like, boy, I really don't want to do this, but boy, it look good for the camera. Right? The PM, when he hugs them, there seems to be a sense of it's coming from the heart. I really want to do this. I love people sincerely. That's one. Right? That's one.
But you credit the 4-point lead to Joshua.
No, that's one other thing that I'm talking about the leader against a leader. So let's us deal with that first. The other thing also is that when the PM speaks, he's less confrontational than Mark Golding, and we must never write that off. Right? The PM is less confrontational, he's more conciliatory, right? And that's two. The third factor is one is more stately in their approach, right? Listen to when the PM speaks. He's more stately in everything that he does, the way he walks, the way he carries himself, his general demeanor. And right? And his overall decorum says, I am a statesman, I look the part, I sound the part, and I'm concerned about the nature. I understand the role and responsibility that I have, and I cannot afford to be appearing outside of this role and responsibility because people are looking up to me. And finally, he's less tribal in his approach. So in other words, as a leader, I understand that I have to bring a nation together instead of trying to divide a nation. I was listening to a tape last night of Mark Golding, and he was talking about Panton demitting office, right? And how the laborites them want to bring in a full laborite to come replace Panton because so much corruption over this, over the JLP. You would never get the Prime Minister to say something like that.
Exactly.
Right? So the Prime Minister understands his role and responsibility, and Mark don't seem to get it as yet. And I don't think he will ever get it for the next 1,000 years. That's what makes the difference.
Joshua, he's appealing, and he's appealing to the neutrals. He's appealing to those who are not partisan because of his approach.
Right. And the final thing that I think goes for the Prime Minister, and we as Laborites flog him initially, and I must tell you, I was a bit apprehensive at first. When he came in, because he was trying not to be tribal and he wasn't weeding out the PNP, then and it still bites him to a certain degree now because Panton is a living example.
Yeah.
All right.
Therefore.
Right? Because Panton is a living. Yes, thanks. Because Panton is a living example. When he came in, and because he's not trying to weed out anybody and say, boy, we don't want to hear so because you're PNP. What you find out is that you had a lot of operatives in place. People don't recognize, even comrades that listen to me, this man is about country instead of about self and party.
Exactly.
So these are the reasons basically why you find out that now he's appealing to everybody across the board.
And Joshua, we can use the launch of the Spark program in Peter Phillips constituency as a testament to that.
Right. And somebody, I think it was Mackie, and I don't want to deviate because it's two separate points that I'm making. I think because of the housing program that he has, it's a deliberate attempt on their part to destroy the image of the housing program. If you notice, the first thing that they did, Morris, the blind man Morris, I don't remember his full name, Floyd Morrison. Right. Said that the Prime Minister did not supply as much housing in his entire tenureship as the PNP. So they started with the NHD and then pivot to the social housing and the indigent program. So they're trying to destroy the imagery, and trying to discredit it. Right. So these are the reasons when we look at the Prime Minister stacking up against Mark Golding. The truth is there's really no comparison.
Joshua, just to add.
GG, before you come in, Joshua.
Yes, sir.
I from my training, you see, I know that polls can cause stress and anxiety.
Yes.
And complacency.
Can manifest itself with symptoms like insomnia, digestive issues, and headaches. You think this poll is going to be causing some insomnia?
It start already. You seem like you don't even understand it start already because they knew the numbers. They knew the numbers and don't feature them no. It's just that they didn't want.
Hey man, it's a Perkins here this now, man. I tell you.
I think the PNP
they didn't want the nation to know.
I think the PNP's greatest fear outside of an election loss has come to fruition. Let me tell you why I say that, because notice they had been putting out polls for the longest while, unanswered polls, albeit fake, right? Unchallenged, right? And all of a sudden, they were hoping that, boy, with the fake polls that they were putting out, it would have built the momentum, as Chuck said, and eventually it would build confidence and people would be saying, true, so might as well vote for PNP, right? And then all of a sudden, here comes a poll. It's like a bowling ball at a bowling alley and strike the center pin that knock over everything, right? So this is what is happening.
Wiley got the cricket jargons, man. Bowl out the stuff, man.
But I have a question though, guys. Do you think that the fact that Nationwide cannot this poll, the PNP will try to discredit it?
Of course they will. You don't put any, let me tell you something. The PNP loves carpet bombing, you know. Right? I don't know if many of you are familiar with carpet bombing. When anything, and if you notice, even their bloggers, same way they operate. Whenever anything credible comes out, what they do, I say to persons that a silent PNP is always strategizing to come out with some lies. Brilliant. Right? So whenever you hear the PNP silent for a while, it means that them gone back to the lie lab, mixing up a new lie. Right? So
I see which program they can attack now.
Right. So whenever anything happens, like even the Nationwide, they have gone back to the drawing board to say, listen, what can we do now to let it look like, boy, it's false and it's definitely not so. And they're not going to stop there. They're going to have numerous things simultaneously that they will come out with. If you notice, day before yesterday, I was talking to Travi yesterday, and Travi was telling me about the different media houses and also social media platforms that PNP came out simultaneously, right? With the same message, albeit attacking the JLP all at once. That is what is known as carpet bombing. So whenever they're hit, they're like a wounded animal. I remember when Mark Golding first came to the fore, and I don't want to take over everything, right? And people...
Go on, man, go on.
Right. and persons were saying, boy, Mark, they were calling him Chaka God and all sort of name, and the PNP dead in the water. And I remember when he first came to the fore, and I said, when PNP just lost in 2016, before Mark Golding came, and then when he came, I said the same thing. I said to them, a wounded animal is far more dangerous than an animal that's not wounded. And they said, no, PNP can't come back. I said, listen, remember, an animal that's not wounded is very careful because they have something to lose. An animal that's already wounded and fighting for their lives has nothing to lose. So they're going to go all out.
Very much so. So, Delroy, my question to you, Delroy, because you have a strong voice, I like how you talk at times. You know. Delroy, what do you say now to supporters of the Jamaica Labour parties, both supporters and bloggers going forward? What is your message to those persons?
Well, we just stick to the patterns and the traits of the Prime Minister, the decorum as Joshua speaks to, and the demeanor. And guess what? To Joshua left out when we know that say tolerance. So we know the comrades them are going to always be on the defensive, but in a defensive.
So don't get complacent right now. Don't get complacent.
No, but another this a PNP, we could have never be complacent. Them automatically draw us out from being complacent, so that impossible to drop it at the free again. You understand me?
I'm not going to tell you it's going to hype because JLP is getting into the mode now.
Exactly. So thanks to the PNP.
Yeah.
Them draw out. Listen now, remember, if I never feel the pressure of the PNP, I wouldn't know Chuck and I wouldn't know Joshua, I probably wouldn't know Hello Neighbor or Hello Neighbor. They on TikTok and play music. So what the PNP did was force the Labour Party base to aisle itself up without the hierarchy. Little did they know. Look at the conference. You didn't see nobody go around and advertise the JLP conference they must keep. No. But the people them realize that shit. We have a JLP for save and we have a Jamaica for save. So therefore, thanks PNP for wake us up. You remember what the Prime Minister said? I don't know who tell them to go trouble Labour Party and nest. So take it back to my point. So it was the PNP who caused this on themselves, hence them start self-destruct. Because them cite the pressure. Don't take it light, just that the fact that the hierarchy of the PNP are more articulate, they're more easy to manipulate words. So they are also of the view and knowledge say, look, there's a core of unintelligent people out there, no disrespect. But unfortunately, most of them belongs to the PNP in terms of support. Let us see how far we can reach these people. Notice how the opposition leaders speak. Notice how the general secretary speak. Always sound like them and somebody a fight. Isn't that a cultural thing in Jamaica for most Jamaicans, even at the most ordinary conversation?
Yeah.
So that they even want to fight in a church. Think about it.
Yeah.
So these guys are aware of the aggressive nature of Jamaicans, especially when them illiterate. The PNP recognize that there's a high percentage of people like that in Jamaica who loves to vote, not keenly. That core people loves to vote always. So
Right,
them I try appeal to. And it backfire upon them because more sensible Jamaicans display neither color to neither the JLP nor the PNP. All they're about are policies. And the JLP today are more pleasing to them in terms of making policies materializing.
Very well said there.
In ending this election, the PNP have forced patriotic Jamaicans to fly from foreign to come make sure say them display them true patriotism, not as a laborite, not as a comrade, but as a true patriot of Jamaica. Because the policies today,
Guys,
you have to be patriotic and appreciate the policies today. Don't deny what you see because you're not benefit directly. If according to the world, the national pledge. All right, go on.
People are joining us all the time.
Go ahead, neighbor.
And what we are focusing on now is that based on the Blue Dot polls as aired on Nationwide at 5 p.m., when Jamaicans were asked which leader they would vote for if they could choose a prime minister directly, Holness holds a 14% lead over Mark Golding. Holness is at 57%, Golding is at 47%. As a matter of fact, Holness is winning in every single demographic group, even among the uncommitted.
Age group.
Among the uncommitted, those they call unaffiliated, he has a 12 percentage point lead. Age 18 to 24, 61% says Holness. Age 25 to 34, 65% says Holness. Huh? Holness has actually improved his favorability by 4 percentage points, and Golding has lost 5 points. How do we explain this?
Look here, is a monster stroke by Andrew?
I can say that Andrew Holness has been out there campaigning, a soft campaign he has been doing.
Soft campaigning, right.
Yes,
When he was out there, every day Holness was out there giving away houses.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So people see that and that drives more people towards him, while the PNP was out there with them bagger, because that's all they did from the PNP. What Joshua talked about, carpet bombing. When you see the PNP come out, the PNP woman come out and criticize George Wright. When you see some sections come out and talk about Bolt, when you see some section criticize the housing, they're throwing everything out there in a negative way. And them not realize that Jamaica people are moving from them kind of politics there.
Exactly.
They're seeing what the government is offering and realize, but wait a minute, the government are doing all these things and you out there talk about these negative things. Them no match up.
No,
Yeah?
what churches?
And I expect, let me just say this. I expect, as somebody has said before, when the real campaign starts, when the budget is read, the numbers going to be improve even more. So it's great. It's great news. We're just getting into gear. And as long as I don't think we'll be complacent, what the JLP hierarchy has to push now is that, hey, we want a strong mandate to send to the people of Jamaica that the country is going in the right direction. So all who want to sit on their laurels, we're not going to allow that. Everybody's going to be out in force.
I must agree with something that Maki had said earlier on, where Maki was saying that the person who got that razor pay, who might don't tell a person say I'm a JLP, but that person is in support of the Jamaica Labour Party, I feel like those persons are coming to roost. Those persons have already made up their mind and decide that they want to keep the Prime Minister, they want to give the Prime Minister the third term.
The direction the country is going, Jamaicans.
Churchill, I just want to add to what you said. The PNP hasn't held themselves by even with all that is going wrong. They have presented how they're going to fix it.
Question. Which political parties?
They don't.
I saw someone in the comment posted something saying that in the Weathervane constituencies that JLP was 57%.
So have questions to do.
Those are the seats that they say for you to win the election. You have to win those constituencies, like a Floyd Green.
That is St. Elizabeth when we come from Southwest. East,
Floyd Green.
And Witter.
Yes, East Rural, St. Andrew.
You know how me do my poll on my place and me realize it can't close enough. When me hear them talk about flight down there, so flight cannot lose.
Yeah, they're saying 57%. Those constituencies are swinging 57% towards the Jamaica Labour Party as well.
And then do that poll.
To get you guys take on this suggestion I'm making. You notice over the last 24 hours, especially in light of the press conference that the PNP had, the Women Caucus had, lambasting and GLP for taking back George Wright. You notice two things in my mind that happened yesterday or leading up to it or thereafter. One, that Portmore meeting at the municipality last evening, where we could have clearly seen the mayor snatching placards out of some lady's hand. One. Two, the sort of heckling and badgering that the opposition leader gave Favor Williams, our finance minister. So much so that Juliet Cuthbert had to be saying, allow her to speak. Aside from Favor's personality. But you look at these things and you wonder if the PNP have any credibility at all to question anything about anybody when their own party has not treated their women well. So I'd like to have your take on that regards to, especially, I think for the rest of our presentation, all the JP women should sit at the front right beside her. I would like to see something like that happening going forward.
Yes, that's a good point. To give her that strength. That's a good point, Maki. Very good point. I mean, Maki, for me still, I think I have said it more than once. The PNP is definitely, based on their rhetoric, based on their style, they're just only trying to appeal to their base. No undecided person is going to see the PNP behavior that they're displaying and want to be a part of that. So this is just going against them in every single way that they possibly can think of.
Just to add to that, the PNP has not learned, the PNP treated Portia less than human. Portia Simpson, their own leader. And even labor rights. One thing with labor rights, we're a just people. We're a moral people. Right? Because if you notice with Lawrence Rowe, labor rights run to Lawrence Rowe rescue and say, listen, them have the right to treat the youth that way. And it's the same thing with Portia. Portia is not a labor right, clearly. But when they treated Portia badly, even labor rights said, no, you shouldn't treat the lady that way. And PNP just now learn them lesson. That, listen me, when you treat anybody wrong, irrespective of which color they wear, the nation is going to turn against them. The neutrals are turning against them for it. And the labor rights will turn against them for it. So you don't, and the PNP don't learn that.
All right, look at it. One of the JLP, the reason why I believe the JLP would always be ahead against the PNP in terms of party standings and polls is that when you do the breakdown of men supporting both political parties, even Stevens, right? But the difference comes when the women have a say. The JLP is far ahead in terms of women's support. So if the PNP have any sense, how can it be treating women, whether in your own party or any woman for that matter, JLP or otherwise, with disdain, how you will expect to get political points that way? So when you blast the finance minister now, and when you snap placards from JLP supporters, women supporters, and you come out with all this placard, how you expect to win? Person looks straight through you.
Whose phone is that? No, neighbor phone. Well, Maki, I can safely say that we're on the path, we're on the right path, but we just have to just stay focused same way. Continue to push forward. Again, I say to persons, the bloggers, job well done. Continue. I mean, if I wake up 5 o'clock in the morning, there's a blogging going on. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, there's a blog going on. 7 o'clock in the night, I think our presence is very much felt on social media. Would you agree, right, Maki?
Exactly. Most definitely. And this is a situation when there's no more RGR communication group or the Gleaner to carry this way, the PNP has no power. And it is clear that social media works. It is clear that institutions such as a Nationwide works, because not only are you presenting facts, but you're fair, you're balanced. We go into this tribalized sort of way of carrying news and doing things. You turn off people. And that's the PNP, as Joshua said, they don't learn.
Not just turn off people, you damage the reputation of your own media house, and by extension, affect your own profit margin. I wonder if I'm speaking to myself because I didn't.
No, I'm here, Joshua. We're here, Joshua.
Okay. You know, I want to thank Neighbor for bringing that news to the fore, because I wasn't aware, and I think it's welcome news. And you know, I remember Blue Dot says that they were going in the field. It's just that I didn't expect the result to be this quick, right? But it is welcome news. One of my concern as a Jamaican now, so take away the color, is even this morning I went on a PNP
Give an
live.
answer one way or the other. So everything.
I went on a PNP live briefly. I didn't intend to. Right, the host was quite the host was quite accommodating and cordial. The persons who were there, they were animals, right? But the host was quite cordial, and she tried to balance it, but they wouldn't give her a chance, right? And they were there spewing out lies. I mean, unashamedly. Ingram was one of them over there, just blatantly telling lies about the PM. And I said, and as a Jamaican, I'm concerned. And let me tell you why. Because where's your moral compass as a person?
If you never call, you wouldn't come.
We start like a...
Danny, mute.
You know, no money I get back from...
Danny, mute.
Social Security.
Why?
Mute
Danny.
first, mute.
So, Danny, neighbor, take down Danny, because he must have spoken for me up here.
How we attack?
No, it hard.
Yes. So, as a Jamaican, I'm deeply concerned because, yes, you want to, all supporters of any party want their parties to be at the helm, but at what cost? Why should we have a win at all cost mentality? You go out to malign. Let me give you an example of where the PNP, one of the things that the PNP said this morning, and I said to myself, I wonder if they listen to themselves. They were talking about the Prime Minister with tax evasion and how much the Prime Minister had account in
yes, I was listening to them as well.
Right, in St. Lucia. So I said to them, because he wanted to evade tax. And I said to them, but Mark Golding also had an account in the British Virgin Island, right? And I said, the Prime Minister wasn't trying to evade tax. I said that there are territories that they call tax haven or tax shelter, wherein if you have businesses there, you don't pay any taxes. And they capitalize on these. You know what was the PNP's response? The PNP bloggers' response? But Mark Golding and a Prime Minister, so nothing wrong with it.
Mark Golding has everything in a trust.
Hold on now. The point that I'm making is that you have a problem with the Prime Minister capitalizing on a tax, right? And at the time, right, because this was before he became prime minister, that he actually had
Yes, it was.
and they are still criticizing him for doing it. And when I point out that Mark Golding did the exact thing and is still doing it, they said, but Mark Golding is not prime minister. That was their stance. Right?
And he's vying for office of prime minister.
Right. They pointed out that, okay, why the prime minister put him son name in him business where him have. And I pointed out that Mark Golding has a company known as Rerun that he did the exact thing too. And they were justifying the fact that Mark Golding did it, but they had a problem with the prime minister doing it.
I want to tell you to Joshua, this morning I wake up about 3:30 in the morning and I took up my phone, I went on a live, I saw a PNP live. And they were talking about the crime rate, and I hear one of the persons said, the crime rate,
neighbor,
the police and the government is tricking everyone with the crime rate. So the next person on the live said to them, what do you mean by the government is tricking them? They do what the man said? The PNP man said his nephew died and he buried his nephew, and up to now it don't come on news, so that it is not on the record.
So they call hold on. So they call everybody name when someone pass. You see the
statement the man say,
right? I'm going to but I'm going to give you another a comparative statement. With the unemployment rate, I heard a PNP live saying they are using a different metric. Dino was on it too, right? PNP Dino, right? That the metric that they are using is the incorrect metric to measure unemployment rate. But the truth is, it's the same metric that
sorry for cut you still, neighbor. So Kif Lewis have the blue dot personnel for in charge of the post them on this and the nationwide right now. I guess when I finish this topic, I think you might need to play that clip. It's kind of live right now.
No. It's all lined up. It's all lined up. Facts done. That is why.
Okay.
I'm so busy because I want to make sure that I have it to play.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting. Like what she's saying, I think it's really interesting. So we need to taking it when we finish.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
That's it. Thank you.
It's gonna be on. But we want to hear the raw numbers first. And analyze it. And what we are going to do also is that we are going to use those numbers to calculate the number of seats that the party is likely to win, because we have the system that we can do it. Go ahead, Scratchy.
Just joining us, Morgan. Anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, man. Good evening, ladies. Well, I don't see the ladies, to be honest. But gentlemen,
good evening, sir.
What do you think to you, sir?
I am a laborite, but a very disgruntled laborite.
A disgruntled laborite? Whoa.
I joined a program, I think, one day last week.
Can you speak up a little for us, sir?
You're not hearing me. I joined a live
this one is going to be good, neighbor. Go ahead.
Yes, Joshua, I can see that they're anticipating this one.
Why do you say that though? You saw that catch me off guard at that. They changed me.
Yeah, man, this is going to be very good. Go ahead, sir.
All right. The point I want to make though, I did a video on a different subject on my personal thing. I wanted to make a comparison between countries that had religion and countries that did not have religion in respect to crime. But I did that to hear people's views or feedback on it. And as a laborite, I came on a program last week, and the first thing one of the guys did who were listening was to check my whatever, and to highlight that I was not good for Jamaica because I was saying we have a bad crime situation and so forth. Not understanding the context of the video I made had nothing to do with our governance, because I support this government. I was an interim president at G2K at NCU in 2006. I'm a laborite. I don't have nothing else to hide. I work for Xavier Main. I do all I can as a laborite. And the man said some very unkind and uncharitable things about me, and they cut me off the program.
Was that man a laborite?
Yeah, man. It was a laborite program.
Oh, it was a laborite program.
I urge you, just tell me the name of that program you're on, please.
What name again? Green Light, something or whatever.
Oh, Green Light.
So Morgie, Morgie.
Yes. Well, let me finish. Let me just complete this.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I did just as a laborite, I didn't think it was prudent for me to be even responsive. Let alone being defensive. I just let it slide. And I think that one of the things we need to have as people are listening to other people on the ear is to have tolerance. Their views might be different from yours in other regards. But what we are here for is as a common cause, to support Jamaica Labour Party and this government and to do what we can to secure a third term. And the detractors and little personal issues and opinions that are not significant in any way is just a turn off and a detractor. And we should aim to get, the bigger picture is what matters. And I am urging you guys not to be distracted and not to disrespect.
Let me address
the labor rights who have put out their efforts to secure a victory for the party and continue to do so because you have disagreements in whatever area. That's just.
Let me address it before Joshua comes back.
Yes.
First thing I would have an apology. But if somebody disrespected you and kick you off a program, I would have an apology for that. Secondly, I don't think that should make you a disgruntled laborite, because the Jamaica Labour Party for life what laborite did. Right? So that does not make you mad at the party, which I don't think you are, because I do understand. I understand the context in which you are speaking. Right? But I will offer my apology. Oh, it's a green light say green light say you are wrong. I have never seen it. But green light, it don't necessarily have to be you. It could be one of your moderators remove him and you don't even know.
Maybe it's my mistake too, because I'm so angry at the time when they cut me off. I didn't even look, but I just joined the labor program I usually do. So
green light possibly is not you. I sure it's not mine.
I know green light is very professional.
Yeah, but it could be him and it could be him and it's one of his moderators. So let us it doesn't matter who it is.
As I said, first thing we have to extend an apology to you for what happened. That we don't believe. Listen, guys, I don't even believe in kicking off comrade off of my platform, But yeah, some of them that you just
Chuck, I was kicked off a live too, and Brandon's on a PNP.
Yeah, that's what they attempted with me.
Yes, I was kicked off a live too, and Brandon's on a PNP.
And trust me.
Accept my apology also, Scratchy. Right? But as I said, we have some Labour Party warriors out there that are very, very, very protective of their party and their party leader. So they won't. It's like how me have a little tolerance. They will kick you the moment they feel you stay. And see one of the warrior Philippians, because Philippians calm down now, yeah? Let me tell you this. I love her to death, but because she calm down now. Oh. So we have people who are not very tolerant of persons who speak or they consider to be speaking ill of the party, because when I say earlier, that is because of our work here on social media, why Andrew are coming back. It was not a simple task we took on, It wasn't a simple opponent we took on, right? So that these people are itchy at anybody who then thinks are going to come now, come try tear down back the party or tear down back the party leader. They will attack. Sometimes without even giving the person a chance to say, yeah, what this mean? Right? So if that happened to you, my brother, my fellow laborite, accept my apology on their behalf. Right? Accept my apology, and I hope that will not deter you from joining other platforms, including Minds, Joshua, or anybody else. Right? We are always here to have discussion. Right? So that is it. And further of all, don't make that be, don't brand yourself as a disgruntled laborite. A disgruntled laborite is normally a PMP.
Look here, man. I always say disgruntled laborite.
I respect that, Chuck. I respect that, Chuck.
Platform. I can say that because I'm on a JLP platform. I'm both. So I hope you understand the context in which I say that, though. It's not...
Yeah, man. That's what I'm saying. I understand the context, man. I totally understand. Don't follow what I said there. I was just making a light bulb.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it.
So
Mongi,
you know,
Mongi,
hold on.
sorry.
You know,
Mongi,
that is why that is.
Hold on, Matthew. Hold on.
One at a time, guys.
Go, Joshua.
All right. You know, that is why you must sit down beside those people in a class, you know, because me and Chuck sit down at the same bench and him copy off of my book. Eh? Me not like them something there. Teacher, you have to mark him wrong for that. Even though he was right, and my answer and use.
Joshua.
Half marks effort.
No, Joshua, that's a great minds think alike, you know.
That is good. That one is good.
So Margie, I want to believe it or not, Chuck basically, but it's like him look right in my brain and say most of what I was going to say.
Great minds think alike,
Right?
man.
And he started at the very point that I had planned to start. Margie, I deeply apologize to you, sir. And as Chuck said, don't brand yourself as a disgruntled laborite, whether it be on a laborite platform or a PNP. You may be upset or annoyed at what was done, and rightly so. But we have to understand that there are persons who are passionate, as Chuck says, and in addition to that, there are some persons where the meter, them tolerance meter, is not so good. Right? I have had laborites who cuss me out in the past. You know, I enjoy a certain amount of respect on TikTok. But I when I say cuss out, them never disrespect me, but them say, boy, Joshua, you too patient. Right? I have heard that several times. Joshua, you're too patient. I mean, I have no time for that. You know, or some of them may say, Joshua, all right, I you ask me for calm down, I'm calm down, you know. Right? But you know, Chuck and myself, we have a different approach altogether when we have decided, listen, we facilitate almost anyone except Ingram and Ingram, which I consider to be a total waste of time, you know, and people like Colin Love who not going anywhere, right? You know, and some others, right? Right, and some others. But apart from that, once the person is willing to have a constructive conversation, even if they are as far as the East is from the West in terms of belief from we're willing to accommodate them, right? I like the fact that you said we are here for one purpose and one purpose only, and that is for the greater good of Jamaica. And I'm just, you know, packaging what you have said, you know, because that's what I received from it. Right? So I apologize again for the behavior of our fellow laborites. But the truth is, in any group, any group that you're a part of, be it political or otherwise, you're gonna find persons who really just operate totally different, and you know, because you have different personalities dealing with, and so these things are going to come out. You know, I've gone on platforms that people initially didn't know my name, and I decided, okay, I'm gonna cause a little trouble though. I'm gonna go up there. Platform and do that. But there's always somebody who know me and spot me out. I said, no man, this one, you know, let him through. You know. But again, sorry, sir, Margie.
I think Maki has something to say, Maki.
May I just make a brief response?
No, Maki has something to say to Margie.
Yeah.
No, I was trying to say to Margie prior to him coming on, I was going to ask him a question. What I think about the poll numbers, I said if persons could directly vote for the Prime Minister, the Prime Minister has a 14 percentage point lead over Mark Gold. I wanted to hear his comment on that.
All right, I would like to go to that, but I need to clarify a little bit before I head on to that. And it's a respectable and curious question. I'd love to answer that as well. But let me just make this clear. I think at the level I'm at, and I'm not boasting that I'm educated or anything, certainly I'm not, but from an intellectual perspective, I think that everybody who seeks to go on air to voice a position or to listen to a position should have adequate tolerance for the fact that somebody might differ in view from you. And if you can't accommodate that kind of difference or in view and in opinion, then I don't think you're fit to be in a position like that. It's my honest opinion. One of the reasons, let me just complete the point. One of the reasons why we're on air is to hear from people, to educate them, to appreciate their view, and to correct them if it's necessary, and to put our views forward, and they can correct us if it is at all necessary. And if we can't have that kind of exchange, in a respectable way, then I don't think we can consider ourselves fit to be an ear. And I would want to urge.
Okay, Margie, we're not going to hear them. You know, so
Hold on,
the bloggers,
Delroy, let him land. Let him land, Delroy. Let him land first.
I want to urge us all in the future. Sometimes we don't know what a person is going to be saying. The statement that comes out first might not be the point that he wants to make ultimately. So we have to listen first. And I'm urging you guys to do that. On this particular platform, I think it's very respectable. And I respect you guys and love the way that you conduct yourselves. I want to spread this to all Librites to continue this kind of thing.
All I was saying, Margie, I wasn't going to interrupt. I was just letting you know that, in fact, we have our majority of us would have decided that, look, that approach can no longer be used going forward. Chuck can attest to that. So we are being more tolerable, which was when Scratchy asked me earlier, when he asked me how I feel in terms of the strategy of the vloggers, that was the thing that started with, tolerance. Yes, we have exercised tolerance. And I realized, a lot of our vloggers these days, they have been more tolerable, and the moderators too, because we realize that we can't reason within ourselves and among ourselves alone. So we become more tolerable. Believe me. That's how I say still.
All right.
And to Chuck and Joshua, I just want to say, I always see you guys. I might not come in the live or in the comment, but I watch it on the For You page. And trust me, Mr. Chuck and Mr. Joshua, I love the work that you guys are doing. Trust me, you guys are one of the two persons where I say,
Chuck, Joshua, Chopper, oh God, man.
Enough respect for that. Trust me.
Let me say this, Scott.
Thank you, gentlemen.
There's a guy who is a good follower of mine now, named Ken P. Just so you remember Ken P?
No, I don't remember Ken P. I remember Ken.
Ken P. That's his TikTok name. My first interaction with Ken P. I was on live one day and he came in the chat and he typed, I can't wait to come to Jamaica to vote out this government. And I said, well, and I said, all right. When I think everybody was saying, now run him, I said, well, man, I could bring him up. And I brought him up on the platform. And I said, all right, based on the fact that you say you're going to come to Jamaica to vote out the government, I take it you don't live here. So I said, what is it that makes you want to come to Jamaica? And we proceeded to have a discussion. And he laid out things that he heard that he didn't agree with. And I could point him to the evidence that says that is not so. Go here when you find the real information. And trust me, at the end of that discussion, that gentleman said when him come home, he will be voting for the Jamaica Labour Party. And remember, the contact with me and him have was him saying him come home, come vote out the Jamaica Labour Party. And based on that, I brought him up and we had a conversation with him. And now he is a supporter.
I'd like to ask Morgie a question.
Yes.
Morgie?
Yes.
Are you hearing me, sir?
Yes, he did respond to your neighbor.
I'm listening, yes.
Yes. Tell me something. Based on what you have heard here now, are you still a disgruntled person?
Absolutely not. I never was, to be honest. But
sorry. Did you say absolutely not?
I feel a sense of what's the word I'm looking for now? My vocabulary is so limited.
Reprieve.
Morgie, you say you have never voted.
I don't think that fits my emotion. I feel that
Did you say that you have never voted?
Who? Never voted?
Yes.
Are you serious?
Huh?
Is that a rhetorical question?
No, I'm not hearing you well, sir. So I'm trying to. Did you say you have never voted?
I couldn't have said that. I voted I voted every election, parish council election and general election. I voted every time I had a chance to vote. I wish I could vote tomorrow.
Okay, but your disgruntledness was caused by what?
No, I thought. Well, obviously you're not listening. I don't know if you're not following what is happening here.
He was kicked off a live, neighbor. He was kicked off a live because of different views.
Yeah, man.
And that caused him to be disgruntled with the Labour Party.
No, he said he's not disgruntled at all. I mean, that was the word that he used initially.
He was disgruntled with the party. I think he was disgruntled with us as bloggers.
Yes. Yeah, it's not the Labour Party.
That's
Son of Punkos.
temporary. I'm just telling you now that I was disgruntled last week on a particular.
You know, you raise an important point, though, brother, and you thought I wasn't listening, but I was multitasking, a little ambidexterity. The whole matter of a respectful debate that we must have, because like you, Scratchy, I've been on a couple lives and I was thrown off too. You see?
Yes.
Yes, I was thrown off, and people say that I'm a PNP supporter. Must get rid of me quickly off the live. And I think that approach is not going to be widening the tent. We have to be more inclusive, and if we are more inclusive, I think we can win more support. Okay?
Because my experience, you know,
I published a thing yesterday on TikTok. I hope you guys have seen it.
No, Margie, but we can always look it up.
It's viral. It's viral. I've made some attacks on the opposition party, and it has taken off. I was so amazed at the kind of responses I got. So you're welcome to look at it when you're done with this, when you have time.
Because my situation
I'm monitoring the news so that as it breaks, I can bring it to your attention. Okay.
Okay, guys. My situation, Chuck, was I was on a live and they were talking about the whole Lawrence Road situation, about with him being removed as a candidate. And I was saying to someone on the live that both parties do this. It's not nothing new. No, you never see the JLP party do this yet. We never promised anybody a seat yet. And then I say, tell me then. I say, yo, case in point, look at there, I'm doing Smith, Derek Smith's son, and whole Nigel Clark thing where you have to step aside to allow Nigel to come in. No,
two different things, sir. One entails money and one didn't have money.
No, I'm not talking about with the money. I said the only problem with Lawrence Road thing is just that he come out or it load up and stuff like that.
No, there's a clear difference. One is basically buying a seat and one is promising a seat without money. So you have to understand that. All right, so let me explain to you, sir, so that we get a little better understanding.
You want me to finish first?
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, what I was saying is, all me there, Joshua, is I was saying to the person, not with exclusion of the money and everything, I was saying to the person that the party leader, it's okay, the party leader can ask a person to step back for a person who they think is a better candidate. I was saying
Scratchy, the news has broken.
Okay.
The Labour Party is 6 points ahead.
6 points?
6 points ahead according to Blue Dot.
6 points.
Neighbor, I said 5 or 6 points. I was pattern, neighbor. Pattern.
They are undecided at this time. We know an election is due this year. We know it will happen by September, as is due. And yet, at the end of January, more than a third of the electorate are undecided or have indicated, I probably won't vote because I can't make up my mind. Mm-hmm. Right? That is more than the proportion of persons in favor of either party. So that is a significant number. For the election not to come down simply to whomever can mobilize their base, mm-hmm. that 36% needs to go down by the next edition of this poll as we get closer and closer to the impending election.
But quick question before you go to the other two big areas. 38% of undecided. 36, beg your pardon, which represents the largest vote share, you say.
Yes.
How does that compare to the undecided representation ahead of the 2020 general election? You don't have that data?
I probably have that data, but I don't have it visualized.
Right. All right. No problem. But because what I wanted to draw a contrast with was at this point where I can't say we're close to the election. I know it's coming in September. Right.
So
it's
due by
no later than September. Yeah.
Right. So that would be a more accurate comparison once the elections are called and we
the date is known. Right.
Sort of last poll before we head to the polls.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That comparison would be fair because by that time the campaigning would have been in full swing. And people would know what the issues are, the manifestos would be on the table, and people would have information to make up their minds.
And Cliff, we are not data scientists, but you know this political science rather well. You know that when the nomination they announced, date call, all of those known, that's when the parties start to chisel away at the undecided block with defined messages tailored to various segments in that undecided block. So to have the undecided so big at this time is nothing strange.
Nothing strange. And that has been the pattern from the 70s when Stone was doing polling. Yeah. And then that undecided block tends to come down, as you say, George, the closer we get to election day.
Right.
And the parties move in on them, laser focus to get as many of the undecided voters to break for them. That is when campaign effectiveness begins to really become very important. Who is the better campaigner? Yeah, there was a time when it was generally accepted that the PNP as a political organization was the better campaigner. They would start a campaign 3, 2, 4 points behind and close the gap on the Labour Party. That has flipped in the last 15 years, I would say 10 years, where the JLP has become better campaigners, better organizers. Yeah, I don't know if that will stand up because so many of them have gone into government and have left Belmont Road, while the PNP out of government has been staying on the road and at 89 Old Hope Road. Parties tend to grow weaker in government and stronger in opposition.
All right. Well, we will wait to see, and we'll certainly see the effect of that being reflected once we head back to the field. But turning our attention now to where do the two main political parties stand against each other, and the JLP is ahead. And this difference is significant because, again, reminding the audience, the margin of error is 2.5%. So when we're looking at differences, it has to be 2.5% or more for it to be considered worthwhile, right? Worthy of mention. And this certainly satisfies that with a 6% lead in favor of the JLP. So 34% for the JLP, 28% of potential voters would cast their votes for the PNP. Right, so that's
6-point lead.
It is a 6-point lead.
And well outside the margin of error.
Well outside of the margin of error. And if we look at the data over time,
the trend line,
it is a doubling of the margin from the last poll. So the last poll, we had a margin of error of 3% for that poll. And the difference between the two leading parties, the two main parties, was also 3%, 31% for the JLP and 28% for the PNP. So that difference of 3%, exactly equal to the margin of error. We called it what, Cliff? A political dead heat, right? Now the JLP has opened up that lead, and that's where the movement happened on the JLP side, because as you see on the graphic in front of you, the PNP would have also earned 28% of voter intentions in the last poll in September of last year. So that 28% has actually been holding firm since a year ago. February 2024, September 2024, now February 2025, 28% of the electorate indicating that they would vote for the PNP. So they have rebounded from very low numbers in September 2022 at 18%. That's the lowest we saw it. Now they're up to 28% and they're holding on to it. That speaks to consistency.
Or may I say, Madam Data Scientist, they've stalled.
I will let you say that. According to my numbers, that is consistency.
No, but we can say, because that's what I was preparing to say, that it suggests that because here's the thing, between September 2023, February 2024, and September 2024, the JLP was the one, Cliff, that stalled, because for both those three surveys that Blue Dot did, the JLP never moved from 31%, stuck in one gear that they couldn't get out of. The PNP, they made a sharp move They made a move from 25 to 28, then 28, and then held firm 28 for this one. So the PNP, the numbers don't lie. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. The PNP is the party that has stalled. They've hit a brick wall while the JLP have the momentum. And to underline that, if we look from September 2020, when the JLP had the unreal representation of 49% versus 32% for the PNP, and then the JLP fell.
That would have been right before the election, right?
They fell off. They plunged off a cliff. 37% September 2021, the JLP. The PNP 22%. Then by September 2022, the JLP fell further to 30. Then they fell further to 24. Then they rallied to 31, stuck at 31, and now they're moving again. While the PNP's momentum seems to have dissipated, and the last 3 surveys have found them moving not an inch. That's what these numbers are saying. So the momentum is clearly with one side, and it's not the orange side.
All right, so that's looking at it over time. We have demographics for this, as we always do.
Sure.
Right, so we'll start firstly with gender. So men are evenly split between the two parties. So again, as I mentioned in the previous question, we're not seeing that male leaning to the PNP side so much anymore. For some questions, it's dead heat. So 32%, 32%, right? So that is clear, even split there. And then when we look on the other side, the women are still in favor of the wholeness-led JLP. 36% of women would cast their vote for the JLP compared to only 24% who would cast their vote for the PNP. So the men are evenly split and the women are carrying the swing, if you want to use that term. When we look at the undecideds, though, there's still more women to convince. So that other large bar at the bottom there, 38% women undecided compared to 33% men undecided. So still quite a significant share of women to make up their minds.
And that must be a troubling sign for the PNP and makes it even more of an imperative for them to convince women voters to look in their direction.
Traditionally, and these polls confirm it, the women have been more inclined to the JLP and to Andrew Holness as a political figure. When we look at his favorability numbers, we see that same sort of trend where he has higher favorability among women than among men. So when women are making up a significant block of your undecided, you really need to speak to those women, because you are not only needing to convince them of why your platform is worthwhile, but you need to turn their attention away from where they have typically gone.
Yeah, here's the thing. I know it's seat by seat, and it's not 228 divisions as you had for the local government elections, it's 63 constituencies. But I'm concerned what the smaller numbers mean, not just this graphic alone, I'll come to this one, but for the previous one you showed, where the undecided was 36%, greater accounting for the largest vote share. There was a other that you had as 2%. Now here's why I'm worried about that. This is a country that has had 2 elections in recent times, won by 1 seat. And of course, when the PNP won for the first time, they got won by 4 seats. So margins matter. And although this country is not one historically over the 18 elections we've competed so far, which has close elections, they are rare events. When it tight, it tight. And I wanted to know if those things that we aren't paying attention to, the other that you have as 2%, and then the small representations you have in that graphic, if it means anything that we should take note of.
Right now, no, because I want to say that 2% is 3 parties.
Oh.
So the other is not
it's highly
other.
splintered. It's highly splintered.
Very splintered. Okay. Very splintered for that 2%. So those smaller, more independent organizations collectively make up that 2%.
Yeah, and even though the sample is random, as randomized as science can get, you still may have found that people who are members of these smaller parties would have found themselves in the sample and would, of course, make the representation that, no, I'm not voting for either of those two, I'm voting for so and so.
Right, and while we do try to screen for that when we're talking to people, if they are executive members of any political organization, etc., if they admit to it when we speak to them, we do not include them in the sample.
Okay.
Understood. Good point.
All right, that's it for the data so far.
Well, we have this by parish, you know. Parish is always a
okay.
and we have it by age.
Yeah, we're not done with this.
All right, let's go to the break and come back with more.
Wow, I'm interested in hearing the parish by parish.
Yeah, that one is going to be interesting.
Neighbor, can you enlarge your screen so that we can have a better look at it? Your box, actually, not the screen, your box.
All right. So Scratchy.
Yes, neighbor. Very interesting. Very interesting.
A 6 percentage point lead, and the campaign don't start yet.
I must say respect to Chuck and his prediction.
Yeah, Chuck called
it yesterday.
My goodness.
Chuck called it. We are not what we describe as a political neophyte, you know. I've been to this rodeo before, and I've seen it.
Well, Chuck, with this number, you think the PNP has peak? Is it showing that the PNP has all peak and peak right out?
Neighbor and Scratcher, I've said this to you guys 2 days ago, and it remains. The PNP peaked in the local government elections last year. They brought out their general election crowd. Now, Vegas, we will never get comfortable, Vegas. We are going for the kill. But the PNP brought out their general election code for the local government election. Yes, they have peaked. They are playing with their cards on the table face up.
All right, may I say something about this, which is probably what got me kicked off the program the last time. You see this something like this now, which shows that the JLP is ahead. A lot of us take this for granted and so we are.
I think we lost, but I'm gonna give it a go.
Let me say this to you guys, which is what I appealed to in the last time I was doing on the program. It is not something to sit down and feel relaxed about. And let me say why. The PNP are seeing these figures as well, and they are going to come out guns blazing, trying to clear up that gap and to put themselves ahead. And they are going to make a lot of promises in the next couple of weeks to come. A lot of things, even the plans that they don't have, they're going to come now and say they're going to do all kind of goodies are going to be offered now. And we have got to find ourselves in a position to counteract these kind of nonsense that they will come with. And I can guarantee you they will. Sometimes I get too complacent. And I am urging you guys, don't get complacent in the politics. Please don't.
Joshua?
Go ahead.
No, I'm telling you to go ahead, Joshua.
All right. So I want to support Margie fully on that. Chuck can tell you that I've always encouraged our people to exercise caution. And I'll go back to what I said earlier when Chuck was off the live. Years ago, when the PNP lost the election, and persons were saying that the PNP dead and they cannot return, I said to them that a wounded animal is more dangerous than an animal that's not wounded. The PNP, as Margaret said, is listening. They're strategizing. And you must understand, when people know what they have to work with, they are better informed. And information says, this is what I have to do, and they go back to and they go back to the drawing board. We are not out here voting for ourselves and ourselves alone. People are out there voting the opposite direction. So don't think that because the poll says it, then the election is done and dusted. I said it earlier, and a neighbor can tell you that I also said it, that an election is not won until the last vote is counted. This thing about we win already, it is dangerous to become complacent.
So do you think they peaked though, Joshua? 28% last year, same 28% this year. What do you think?
Time will tell. I'm a little more cautious than Chuck on that. Time will tell. What I will say is that they came out with their A game in the last election, but never count out the PNP for more reasons than one. The PNP is willing to do any and everything to win an election. They're willing to use violence. They're willing to use money.
Let me say this before I forget there, brother. Sorry for interrupt. So you see, the hierarchy of the Labour Party in terms of the government structure will have convinced majority of Jamaicans enough. Now it is now time for members of parliament and councillors to polish it off. Right. Andrew put on the polish already. Consecutively.
Let me land.
Right, so we're going to start with age first. And similar to the question about having confidence in either party to lead, we are seeing that the PNP strength increases as age increases, meaning the younger demographics, the 18 to 24-year-olds, 25 to 34-year-olds, only 21% and 23% of those two age groups respectively would cast their vote for the People's National Party. That is in comparison to the 40% of potential voters over the age of 65 who indicated that they would vote for the PNP candidate in their constituency. So we see that the PNP gains ground as age increases, whilst the JLP maintains its share for the most part with all of the age demographics. Right? So 36%, 18 to 24, 25 to 34, 31%, 35 to 44, 33%, 45 to 54, 36%. The same percentage holds for 65 plus. And then we have 38% in that pre-retirement, 55 to 64-year-old block. So their share of the electorate in each age category, the lowest is 31%, up to a high of 36%, but holding pretty well in that zone in every age demographic, whereas the pattern is different for the PNP. It's certainly their strength is in age.
And this is a realignment that I've been talking about in the Jamaican body politic in terms of voter behavior and support. These numbers represent the new era. This is a wholeness era. I don't know if Marky G will be around long enough, so we can also say the wholeness Marky G era. This is what you're seeing. A realignment in terms of voter support, the consistency of JLP support among the younger demographic.
Holding firm.
Holding the PNP, and this is bad news for Old Hope Road. Put about those numbers for me. The only demographic group that the PNP is ahead.
It's 65 plus.
65 plus. It means that the People's National Party has a problem. How will it maintain its relevance among younger voters in the country?
But there is an opportunity. So before I say that, though, let me just point out that in the 55 to 64-year-old block, they're tied at 38% each, right? So that's just before we get to that 65 plus. But to the point you're making, Cliff, there is opportunity there for both sides, not just for the PNP, but for both sides. Because look at the not sure, the ones who have not made up their minds. The largest share of those are also the youngest voters. So 40% of 18 to 24-year-olds undecided at this time as to who they would vote for. 44% of those 25 to 34. 37% of those 35 to 44. So there is opportunity there.
And you're absolutely right, Jenny.
For both sides.
Yes. And this is where you should have spent your time in opposition as a political party, to drill down into the numbers, pick that up, and recraft, rejig your policy platform, to get the interest of younger voters. And this is where I've said, the People's National Party has become intellectually lazy. There was a time when the PNP would be the leading party in terms of new ideas, being brave, courageous. It has become lazy and now trades in people's discontent and not putting forward policy options for people to consider. They come with a lame excuse about wholeness of the teeth and ideas. Now, months away from the elections, you haven't scored.
How the parish breakdown look?
All right, so let's take a look at the map, shall we? So just for the listeners and viewers, where you see a green icon on a particular parish, it means the JLP is ahead in that parish. Where you see that icon orange, of course, it means the PNP is ahead. And where you see the icon white or gray, it may appear on your screen, there is a tie or a dead heat in those parishes. So let's start out west, shall we? Because out west is the only parish where, according to these polls, the PNP has an advantage over the GLP. And it is a sizable advantage at that.
I was looking at the numbers and wondering if they were right. 14% to 64?
I checked them multiple times because it stood out to me as well. So in the parish of Hanover, 64% of the potential voters would vote for the People's National Party compared to only 14% who would vote for the JLP. So that is the single largest margin that you will see anywhere in these polls for any question, for any demographic. That just doesn't exist anywhere else.
And what is your confidence level in terms of the sampling and the number of people you'll speak with?
We have this sample at 2.5% margin of error has 95% as its confidence level.
That is very, very instructive.
Right? So that the parish of Hanover is standing out as an exception in favor of the PNP.
Let me do, before we go to Westmoreland, let me say this, that Hanover is no surprise in terms of it being orange and the PNP leading. Obviously, 50 points is significant. I couldn't think of this if I was asked. But we've been told that Westmoreland is just going to automatically turn back orange because there's no hope that the JLP has of holding on. Do the numbers bear that out?
Numbers do not bear that out. Right now, the JLP is ahead in that parish, 36% versus 27%.
And that's a gap of what, 9 points?
Yeah.
Yes.
I wonder about that. Yeah, because the ground is saying that, it's going back to the PNP, but you don't contest the numbers.
No, we don't contest the numbers. The numbers say what they say. And what we have to always remember when we do polls versus the voice and the noise on the ground is we are talking to these people in one-on-one conversations where they can tell us what they really think. And they're not just necessarily buying into the sentiment of the day. So when we have that one-on-one conversation, this is what people are telling us. 36% of them in the parish of Westmoreland would vote for the JLP if elections were held at that time.
And I know these polls are heading into a different kind of election than we had in February last year. We had local elections, now we're going general. But what the local election polls showed us was that the JLP was in some serious problems in St. Thomas and Portland, Hanover as well. What are we looking at for St. Thomas and Portland? Let's go on the other side of the island.
All right, so going to the eastern side of the island, they're not in trouble. They're not in trouble at all, according to these latest polls. So when it's time to vote in a general election, Portland, 32% in favor of the JLP compared to only 11% for the PNP. So a near tripling of the PNP vote there to the JLP.
And notably, Janae, notably, the 11% support that the PNP has in Portland is by far, by far, its lowest, its weakest showing in any parish in these polls. Because I'm looking at the other PNP numbers, and nowhere are they near to being 11% represented right now. So
Correct. The next
that's an alarm.
closest one is St. James, which is at 20%.
There you go. Yeah.
Right, and then in St. Thomas, also a sizable lead, 40% for the JLP compared to 24% for the PNP.
St. Mary.
St. Mary, also in favor of the JLP by a margin of 13%. So 37% there would cast their vote for the JLP compared to 24% for the PNP. All right, continuing along the north coast, St. Anne, 32% in favor of the JLP compared to the PNP's 26%. Trelawney has a smaller margin, but still significant, of 4%, 40% for the JLP to 36% for the PNP. And then we see that JLP strength in St. James as well, with 41% for the JLP in St. James compared to only 20% for the PNP in that parish.
And that's the most decisive lead the JLP has across the island in St. James, that 21% point gap.
It's 21% gap.
That's the biggest gap they have.
That's their biggest margin, yes.
Across the island.
Yes, it is, in the parish of St. James.
Come to Kingston and St. Andrew now.
Kingston and St. Andrew is one of those hotly contested areas. 32% for the JLP, 33% for the PNP. That there's only a 1% difference there. We've explained to our audience margin of error and what it means and the implications of it. So we know that is not a lead for anybody to write home about.
That's dead heat.
That's dead heat. Dead heat also in Manchester, exactly the same. 29-29.
Wow.
In the parish of Manchester.
That means the JLP has recovered in Manchester or is recovering.
Yes, because local government elections they were trailing.
Yes.
Right. And then St. Elizabeth, which has 2 of our Weathervane seats that we're going to talk about later in our show, also dead heat 37-37.
Yeah, it's 6:30. I think we should take a break, pause for a cause, come back. When we come from the break, we'll talk about those 2 Weathervane seats. And Madam Producer, we're going to be hearing from our guests, in short order. So stay with us. The Weathervane seats are up next. We did tell you that there's a lot more to come, and yes, we're keeping on.
I want to get a run on for Naughty St. Elizabeth when everybody talk.
Whoa.
But slowly. Me here say, Mr. UIC, Mr. Patterson, head your way.
And him will come split the PMP vote because he's an ex-comrade and him living in the PMP bedrock, one of them strongest division him living in. So it's a good move. Very good move, Mr. UIC.
Yeah, down there say
is Kingston and St. Andrew surprising?
It shows in the local government. It shows in the local government. We are dead heat at the KSAC, so
Chuck, which constituency would you put that on in Kingston and St. is in trouble?
In trouble?
No, I have the dead heat. Which constituency? We have about 15 constituencies in Kingston. Which constituency would you put it on? Is it Kingston Central?
To sort of push them to where they are
After
now.
what
So I
conference
think
you
a
say?
lot is going to depend on
Better plan, she look nervous.
Marshall.
Yeah, man, she feel shit, man. She can move her whole self and go.
Our pampas supposed to wet, they know our pampas soak.
You see her face. Watch Kevin. Watch Kevin.
First of all, 34,
Yeah, Brian Chang today.
take that out of
Him always start good.
105%,
Yeah.
45%. And I did a little rough extrapolation. That will be about 45 seats for the JLP.
Exactly. No, not 30 yard. Tell them that, Kevin.
Because, 34-26, it has to be 100% of people vote. So the undecided, they don't count come election days. You have to assume it breaks the same way.
A week in the diaspora, Kevin. Tell them.
The 4 big factors, if you look at the Blue Dot poll, the number 1 thing is crime. Every poll shows that by far. Then you have corruption. Then you have cost of living, and then you have unemployment. Crime has been a huge win for the JLP the last 6 months. This year, it was down 8% in 2023, 18% 2024, and 2025 so far is down 24%. And in the rural areas outside St. Catherine, Kingston, and St. Andrew, murders are down 55% in so far up to January 1, February 15. That's a big drop. people are beginning to feel safer. I said beginning because the mainstream media refuses to push these numbers or to put them out. I don't know why.
We're mainstream and we publish them, Kevin. Come now.
Okay, all right. Safer nationwide, okay? And let me put it in the newspapers, okay?
Okay.
So the people are feeling safer. The corruption has kind of flipped. It was the focus was on the and the Integrity Commission. All of a sudden, it's now on KSAMC and St. Catherine Parish Council. So I don't think corruption is really an issue for voters. They think
right in our face, you better.
They're no better barrel. The cost of living has improved a bit. Just yesterday, my mother knows
But we talk after.
$280 for salad. It was about $1,500 in December. The film is come down. That's our discussion at home.
Yes.
And then the unemployment, of course, record low, 3.5%, the lowest in the English-speaking world. Never before in the history of Jamaica could we say that. Lower than America, England, Canada, Australia. So the things have trended well for the JLP. So it's not surprising they're ahead in the poll. What's surprising? The party, when they say the best party equipped.
Lift them with achievement, my boy.
When they say which party support 10% gap. But when it comes to voting, only a 6% gap. The JLP should be examining that. Why? The PNP should be examining, well, why are we getting more votes than the party support? But that's a puzzling one. But overall, it is not unexpected. Of course, a poll is only a snapshot in time. There's no guarantee when election comes that these numbers will hold up. Yeah. But at the moment, the JLP must be happy, and the PNP, well, when you're behind, you're not happy.
Yeah. Helene, what do you think would account for the stubbornness of the overall support number for the PNP? Stuck at 31% for the last 3 Blue Dot surveys, not moving while the JLP has seen that bounce. What is it that is causing this resistance to transition for the gears of the PNP machine?
Well, I have not heard the PNP come up with anything new, so to speak, yeah? And I think, for a political party going into an election campaign and you are in the opposition, you must be able to get people to come over to your side based on what you are putting forward. And clearly, what they have been harping on is not delivering the results. And I don't know, it is similar to what happened when the 2016 elections, when everything was about the House of Holiness at the time. And no matter what, that was the road they were going down. And I think similar also to what is happening in the US with the Democratic Party, because you believe that these are the issues that people want to hear about, but you have to really stop and take stock, because clearly this is not what they want to hear about. And as Kevin said, and I said it in September as well, when you harp on corruption, the GLP did a very good job on the PNP while they were in opposition, and so persons who grew up in
those
that
were real
era
corruption.
think of the PNP as a corrupt party. And so you have to, I don't think that is what they should be focusing on. I think at a point in time, the PNP came around to that when I think under Portia Simpson Miller, they developed this thing called the progressive agenda.
Yes.
Yeah. So it something like that is saying, that we are looking at what are the situations in Jamaica, and this is what we would do to deal with all of these problems. And this is one of the reasons why they would have also scored low on the issue of which party you think can deal with national issues, because nobody hears them on the national issues.
Let's take a break here, panel. We're up on the break, Cliff, Janae, Kevin, and Helene. Let's take the break and come right back with more. This is Nationwide.
Yes, bro.
They try to weaken the leader, but the leader is stronger than ever. Come and talk about statutory deduction and illicit. Come on, go on campaign for no statutory declaration and no illicit. Go on campaign, Marky G. And this is a corrupt government. And go on bold money, Marky G. Thank you very much.
Rockstone. Me tell my friend Casco last night, say Marky G come to St. James and come keep meeting in our backyard. You see?
Really?
And say him a go take it Him a go take it. Me can't even remember him a pet woman name, I swear. Me a try to remember. Me a try remember the Muppet woman name.
Which one of them?
One black
Patricia, don't
woman there,
answer the land cash. You look like map, you know. The one that got them fee, right?
Yeah, yes. I think yes. Have one little meeting in our backyard and say,
but a man this style. A man used to keep it in a people's backyard.
I want cokehead me see I walk up and down in that crowd. One market G! So I could have what the bomber this.
I see them up again to them move Gabriella, they move the mattress, they move the PNP mattress Gabriella from down there, so them have put up she. You know, look when she the Gabriella run against Crystal Lee. Crystal. She against Crystal. Pause and come back.
I'm going to go in those 2 seats. And let me tell you this. These results are likely to cause people, Cliff Ginny, to have mixed feelings like a mulatto.
Like you said, Elizabeth.
Before I give you the results, Ginny, walk us through the history of the voting behavior of people, voters in Southwest and Southeast St. Elizabeth.
Sure. All right. So in St. Elizabeth Southeastern, this is one of those seats where for the last 5 elections, they voted with the winner. So the icon that you see on the screen there, that is the party that took the election, right? So we see in 2002 and 2011, it was in favor of the PNP. And in 2007, 16 and 20, it was in favor of the JLP. So what is important to note with why it's a Weathervane seat and why we pay attention to it, there are other constituencies that meet that 5 election having the same person winning all the time or that sort of thing. But when the national tide flips, these flip.
Yes.
Right? So when we go from PNP to JLP, then back to PNP, then to JLP for the last 2 consecutive elections. Now, one of the things about St. Elizabeth Southeastern that's worth paying attention to is that it's usually very hotly contested. So let's take 2020 out of the bunch. That was the COVID election. It's an anomaly, record low turnout, etc., etc. And we see that here, right? 51% turnout compared to all the other elections, right? So let's take 2020 out of the mix where the margin was significant there, right? 17%. For all the other elections out of the 5, hotly contested in 2002, 1% margin difference, right? In 2007, only 3%. 2011, we're looking at 5%. That's the highest it's ever been. And then 2016, 50% in favor of the JLP compared to the PNP's 49%. So the margins in this particular constituency has always been close. It's a battleground seat for a reason. You have to bring your A game.
Yeah, very important. Strong point. What about Southwest?
All right, so moving on now to Southwest. So this one is also fairly well contested, although we see a decided widening of the margin once Floyd Green became the JLP's representative. So let's go back to 2002 when it was Donald Buchanan versus the JLP's Derek Sangster. Buchanan won his seat by
1%.
1%. Then Dr. Tufton versus Stanley Redwood in 2007. That was won by 5% for the JLP.
No, 2010%. 2007?
10%, sorry, my apologies.
Yes.
10% in 2007. Then Hugh Buchanan, the younger Buchanan, took over in 2011, and it was 50-50, but went to the PNP. If you look at the vote count, 9,453 to 9,440.
13 votes he won by.
Right? So meager victory, but a victory nonetheless. Then we get to 2016, and here we have Floyd Green on the ticket, and there is 55% in favor of the JLP compared to 44%. So we're looking at an 11% victory for Floyd there. And then in 2020, Yes, it was an anomaly in terms of voter turnout and so on, but still a victory with 9,189 or 56% of the vote compared to 7,099 votes for Ewan Stevenson of the PNP or 43%. So a 13% margin in favor of Floyd Green in the last general election.
And just before we run from that point, I'm just trying to make sure my data computes here. It is perhaps true, based on what I'm seeing, it looks to be true, that Floyd Green is the only candidate in the history of Southwest St. Elizabeth to have polled over 10,000 votes. He did that in 2016 because before that it hovers around 9,000 thereabouts. But the first candidate to break 10,000 was him in 2016 when he got 61%, when we got 55% of total votes cast. All right.
Yeah. Good. All right. So these are the battlegrounds. Yes. Right. So now that we've established that, let's see what the battleground is saying. So we're going to start off with their national outlook. On the top with the arrows, we have what the national picture is, right? So you would have reported on this earlier in the week. 42% saying the country heading in the wrong direction, right direction, 32%. When we look at Southeast St. Elizabeth, the pessimism there, or those thinking that the country is heading the wrong way, is higher than the national average at 48%. But those thinking the country is going the right way aligns quite well with the national picture at 32%. So the dissenting opinions in terms of the country's overall outlook is more negative in Southeast. In Southwest, we're seeing more pessimism, yes. Well, just about the same as the national picture, just 1% difference, right? So 43% compared to 42%, but far more optimism. Those saying we're headed the right way at 41% compared to 32% in the overall population. So the sentiment is less positive in the Southeast constituency, and you will see that when we go to some of the other questions and how it plays out. Looking at Andrew Holness and his favorability, you would have also reported your favorability scores earlier, right, where we saw 7% net favorability for the Prime Minister with 37% positive and 30% negative. Let's see how that looks in these two constituencies. We have net favorability being less than half the national score for both. Right? So only 2% net favorability in St. Elizabeth Southeast with 38% favorability compared to 36% who have a negative impression of our Prime Minister. And then in Southwest, only a 3% net favorability with 43% having a positive view of the Prime Minister and 40% having a negative view. So his net favorability, meaning positive minus negative, is half, less than half of what it is in the national picture. Right? So that is interesting, especially in comparison to the favorability of Mark Golding. So in the national picture, Mark Golding has net unfavorable impressions, meaning his net favorability score is negative at negative 3%, with 24% positive impressions and 27% negative.
Nobody don't like Mark.
Reversal of that.
Nobody don't like Mark Golding. Mark Golding, nobody.
St. Elizabeth Southeast, he has net favorability, positive outweighing negative by 7%. In St. Elizabeth Southwest, that goes up to 12% with 38% positive impressions and 26% negative. So this is a noted exception to the national picture in favor of the opposition leader.
Right, let me see if I can put it another way. So in terms of net favorability then, Mark Golding is running 10 points ahead of his national net favorability in Southeast and 15 points ahead in Southwest.
Correct.
That's significant.
Very significant.
Big point.
And this means if you're inside the war room at Old Hope Road, you need to make him go down at St. Elizabeth.
To build on the momentum that he undoubtedly has.
Because tell us a Jordan can participate. We never give him points for.
Okay. All right. So that's favorability of the leader. Asking all of our polls, asking people to identify their support for any party, which party, or if they are what we call politically unaffiliated. So this is now where we talk about
Lord, what type of something them I go through? Head can't take it.
Yeah, when them a chat, them a sit there for.
numbers.
Marlon Morgan, they're not gonna let Marlon Morgan talk at all.
Tell Mario to shut up now, man. Look how long we up here and analyze the thing. He come with the whole heap of chatting.
Of either party, right? So Cliff, that goes to the point that you're right? But when we look now at Southeast, that figure for the JLP is 38% and 39% for the PNP. So relative sizes of the bases in that Southeast St. Elizabeth constituency almost equal, right? And only 23% of people saying I'm not affiliated with either party. So in both of these Southern St. Elizabeth constituencies, people pick a side.
Yeah.
Right? The national unaffiliated percentage is 40. 40% of people saying, I don't identify with any political party. In these Southern St. Elizabeth constituencies, for Southeast, it's 23%. For Southwest, it's 21%. So half, basically, of the national.
People have made up their minds.
They're picking a side.
Yes.
Right? They're prepared to say, I support one party or the other. And if we look at the bars in the chart, it's strong support. Right? Because for the JLP in Southeast, that 38%, 25% is strong support. That 39%, 32% is strong support. So they are picking a side and making it clear. On the Southwest side, there's a larger PNP base emerging there. 43% of the people we spoke to in the constituency are identifying as supporters of the JLP. Right, so we're seeing a larger JLP base. My apologies. 43%, 30% of that is strong support. 37% in favor of the PNP are saying, I am a supporter of the People's National Party. 31% of which is strong support. So both parties have a firmer base in both constituencies. In Southeast, they're dead heat, identical. In Southwest, the JLP has a seemingly stronger machinery on the ground. All right, so, and we're seeing, so I want us to sort of skip ahead to performance. Right, so we look at the overall picture. Wholeness's approval ratings overall, 42%. That's what the national audience told us. The Southeast St. Elizabeth constituents, 41%. So again, very closely aligned with the national
almost
picture.
even if you factor the margin area.
Right. But more disapproval,
Yes,
which
significantly
aligns
more too.
with the less optimistic stance that they have on the country as a whole, right? So 38% of the constituents in Southeast St. Elizabeth disapprove of Wholeness's performance compared to the national number, which is 26%. So 12% more disapproval in Southeast. In St. Elizabeth Southwestern, he has higher than the national average in terms of approval. So 47% approve of the job he's doing as Prime Minister compared to 42% that we see in the overall sample. And marginally fewer people disapproving with 24% compared to 26% in the overall sample. Right? So we're starting to see it shape up where it's a dead heat in terms of impression, performance perceptions, etc. in Southeast. In Southwest, the favorability is leaning on the green side.
Hear you on that. All right, can we take the break now?
Yes.
All right, let's take the break and come right back. This is Nationwide.
And when we come back,
we have
party standing.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah, me can't complain it. So for real.
You remember so when I start campaign yet, you know?
Exactly. Guys, remember
campaign, that's a different something.
All politics are local. So hear something off of the ground down there. Go and go walk the ground.
Yeah, that is good.
Green, I forgot put on in shoot in water boot.
Not in shoes. In
Me not see
walker
flight
boots.
in a lose still. Me not see that.
Flight in a loser something.
That will
They
never.
say tight still, you know, but
That
you have
will
to go put in
never.
some work.
Flight in a loser
In it
something.
right now, fly green and need to do nothing.
Flight in
What you talk, say, Mario?
That will
Mario,
never
Whether
happen.
I can put in
I
still,
tell
I
you
put in
that.
the work still.
Mario, stop it.
Have to
The
do
man, they
something.
need
What
to
you
put in
mean in
work.
have to do
Plank,
nothing?
plank. Now listen to
Put
me.
something.
Me
I
have
put in the
people
work
without.
Look here.
That man
Okay.
has
Mario,
a
you have people everywhere.
As,
Stop
Mario,
that
as
rubbish
long
going on
as
to
Mario,
put in now. Make you
as
Mario.
stay up at Belmont Road and not go down there and win one.
Well
look
on
here.
the, well on the Nicole,
Look
let me
here.
talk to him.
As long
Nicole, well
as
on, let me
flight
talk to Mario. Well on now 30, let me talk to him. I see him thing you did say down a Clarendon.
Clarendon, yeah.
You have people down there and they see tour.
Yeah.
Boy,
Or same thing, Frank. Don't make Golden go down there go intimidate people.
Workplace or the workforce. So those are the positives that you can take away from, and those are signs that you can look at and say, oh, this country is moving forward. This country, has managed to balance the economy and steady the economy. People talk about recession and those things. This government, when the world is going through, a recession, this government, this administration from Nigel Clark, to favor who's there now, they have managed to steady the ship, and they're thinking it's steady hands, to basically man a society. When you have steady hands manning a society, then the future is brighter for the people of such country. Yeah. So we look at the development, we look at the healthcare system. People complain about, people can't get beds, people can't get that, people can't get that. But we look at previous administration or the previous administration, and we compare it with what's going on now. We see additional work being done to hospitals, So we can balance out and we can have the conversation, because nothing drive me crazy more than when somebody is speaking out of ignorance and a man say, oh, people have to lay down on chair, or people have to lay down on the ground. Yeah, because the hospital, there's a cap where, some hospitals, there's a certain amount of beds that can hold in a certain areas or certain space. So when you see the expansion going on, that is how we try to educate the people and say, yeah, the reason why people up this up on the floor is because we can hold 28 beds. So when you see we expanding, those are the messages where we, the citizens of the country, have to push forward. We, the people who care about the country, care about the people, them. Elderly people can, afford them medication. And you hear a different message that come from the opposing party that, oh, we're going to make healthcare more affordable. What that means that the free healthcare we have now, it's going to be more affordable than if something is free now and it's going to be more affordable. What that mean? So we have to even educate this age group, the 65-year-old and up, who is favoring, who's showing up in the polls or in the blue dot poll that they're leaning towards the PNP. We, the people of Jamaica, we have to, the caring people, the patriots, we have to say, yeah, I understand, say, on a party line, on a dieted and I want to hear corruption, I want to hear say man a thief and all them things. We know it registered in a different way, but we know have to convey the message to these people and say, listen to me, you're the man that said, you're going to make your healthcare more affordable. What that means? That means you have to go pay for some things now. That means you have to go in your pocket now. Why are you going to give up that, for something that is free? So these are the type of things that we have to do as a people if we want to have a better society, if we want to have a better country. Who is better at bringing down crime and violence? The record is showing. Yeah, who is better at taking care of the elderly people? The record is there. Who is better, at fixing the
Based on
infrastructure?
the blue dot polls, Mr. Vegas, it appears as if the message is resonating with voters, but based on the same polls, a large percentage of Jamaicans still feel that the country is going in the wrong direction. How do you juxtapose those two positions where you are outlining a number of achievements and positives, but at the same time, some are saying the country is going in the wrong direction? How do you juxtapose those two positions?
First thing, when we're speaking, a certain language, you have to bring down the language or put forward a language where the common man can understand it. For example, yesterday I was reasoning on a platform, or the day before yesterday, and I wanted to, see if I was getting it wrong about the situation in Portmore. So I joined a discussion, and I said, break down, tell me what the issue here, is. And somebody was able to break it down in a lay person, in a reasoning conversation, where the simple man could understand it. I think we have to simplify the message. And I think that the Jamaica Labour Party has not put forward, their campaign as yet. So when this campaign go forward and they have the right messenger, because that is what it's going to resonate with the voters. When they can actually say, yeah, when they go out there and put forward the message. I don't think they start the campaign yet.
How is this you're a communicator, Mr. Vegas.
Right.
How is it that this communication gap is to be bridged? How is it that the party is to communicate its message to the demographics? For example, those persons. I mean, when you go up on a stage to sing, you take in mind your audience, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. How you have said the party has not done such a good job in communicating this message. You think it is a matter of communication, is a matter of messaging, why 42% would still feel that the country is going in the wrong direction, and how are you going to bridge that gap? For example, the performances that you mentioned, although they are such, you still only have a 6 percentage point lead in the polls. And some would argue that with the remarkable success that the government has had, that the lead should have been better. Is it that you are not reaching sufficient people with the message?
Remember, when you're basically indoctrinating a society, yeah, the indoctrination can run deep. So it is the duty of the party now to basically simplify the message and put the message forward. And I'm not saying I did not use the word that they are not doing a good job, but if I did, excuse me. Can they do more? Yes, they can do more. But I think they have not yet hit the campaign trail. I think elections are one on the ground. And I think when they get on the ground and they start going from parishes or constituency to constituency, it's going to be a different situation. I just hope they don't start too late, like what happened in the local government election. I remember talking to my brethren chaps during the local government election, and I say, yo, be careful after late started, the lackadaisical approach to the local government election, because I did not see the campaign. I did not see them out there. So my only concern or my advice to whosoever is listening, that don't start too late, run with this, whatever the poll is giving you. Go into the areas where you're falling short, go after the people who are not, speaking your language, and start to put forward the message and get the common person, get the person where the people can relate to. Get some people to start send the message and do more to get the message out on social media. We're living in a different era where everyone, a lot of people are on social media. You have to do more to get the vloggers and the people who are putting forward the message for the party, message in front of the people. And there are ways to do it. There are ways to get our message, your message, people who are supporting this progressive movement. There are ways to get the message in front of the people. So the people who are responsible for communication, they have to figure out how to utilize the people who are putting forward the message on social media and on the ground, to the people.
Yes, Mr. Vegas, I just have one question. We have seen where the government has introduced the art program that might attract the person between the age of 18 to 25. We have seen the compensation package review that might attract the next 30 to 40 age group. The 65-year-old group that you just spoke about, we even heard one of the analysts said that this is the age group that definitely goes out and vote. But this is the age group that we are lacking in. Is it that the government social programs for this group are not being advertised so that most of these persons don't know what the government is doing for them?
I think that can be an argument, but what you have to understand, is like when I speak to older people, they are listening to the message that is being proliferated. Yeah, they are listening to the preaching style where a man might be on a platform putting forward. It doesn't matter if is who tell the lie the best, who make the lie more believable, and you have to have equal energy, when putting forward your message. Yeah, because people like, travel faster than the truth, you see? So that is where I think a lot of the elderly people, the over 65, that is where they're consuming their message from. That's what is out there most, more than the Jamaica Labour Party's message. Yes. So we have some catching up to do there. The Jamaica Labour Party has some catching up to do there to put forward, the programs.
And in addition to that, catch up naturally cannot be done for your demography of people. Why? Because for first get people to appreciate what is being done. For most of them out there, they have to understand what happened. And a lot of people understand what happened. Good example, for example now. So you will see people still not know the functions and responsibilities of the councillor. So then we have a PNP councillor now go under JLP MP. Yet they with a broad brush and make it look like say the MP have failed. So it's simple to break down like them in a society. We make people disapprove what go on, even if it happen under them nose. And you can't downplay the illiterate part of it. Some people literally don't understand what really are going on. You have to go sit them down and just like Vegas say, groundwork. Because some people really want to know what going on, but through them are just surface hearers, then just hear what they hear and just stop it right there. So believe what they hear, no research, nothing. And then through before that, they never know nothing about current affairs. So then just gullible and anything stick with them. So some of them are go hard to change and they make up that demographic.
You think it's because of the whole these persons are used to traditional media that is not conveying the government message as well.
Yes, because the demography of people there, and the media they normally depend on to explain policies to them and how it will reach them, how it will benefit them. And the media normally compare and contrast the difference between the benefits people getting now versus others who would have implemented a similar policy, but the fruits will be different under JLP. The media now do that for the illiterate common man who has interest in a current affairs, but not the academical ability to understand what going on in front time.
This is because we have seen increase in pension and the introduction of the NIS social pension. Come in, Mr. Vegas. Just not to stop it. Just
This is how door-to-door engineering takes effect. This is what you have to do. You have to start, because we know this is an indicator of where we're falling short. Now you have to get people on the ground in those regions and sit down with these people. It's like you have to show them A, B, C, D, E. You have to explain to them. You have to make them understand, as I said earlier. Say, yo, I understand that you may be leaning that way, but do you know the negative impact, what the impact that this going to have on your health? When you're going to have to pay, more money for medication, you're going to lose certain benefits that this government is offering. Yeah. So this, at least you have a read. Polls, sometimes polls can be wrong. Yeah. But when you get an idea, yeah, you get an indication. You go into these regions and go after these people. You don't just leave it up and say they are die-hearted and they will never change their minds. Yeah, you don't want to take a chance, because I remember saying, some elections are so close. Yeah, or some seats are so closely contested where sometimes it's 5 or 4 or 10 votes difference. So you have to make sure you're going there and do your part. Yeah, the volunteers we have to find the volunteers yeah, to make sure they're volunteering and they're willing to go and knock on these doors and speak to these people.
Scratchy.
Thank you, Mr. Vegas. First of all, I want to commend you as an entertainer. The breath of fresh air that you bring to conversations like these, because I think people's perception of entertainers tend to be lopsided, and rightly so a lot of the times, but you have brought a difference to that industry. I remember when you decided to as it were take a break from your craft to go back to school. I think you're one of 3 that I can remember. Assassin, Cobra, and yourself. Those are the 3 that I remember. For me, that speaks volume. It says you are forward thinking, and the way you articulate yourself is just totally different. it says that your power of assessment is far ahead of your peers, right? And not just your peers, but the average Jamaican also, and kudos to you for that. And I want to encourage you to continue. Having said that, after we are finished, I want to give you a quick call here. There's something I want to put forward to you that I think that you would be useful in.
Yeah, man. Send me a number on the direct message.
Yeah, man. I will.
Scratchy.
Come on, give thanks.
Yes, neighbor.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if we should you should make sure that you have Mr. Vegas's contact. I'd like to talk to him some more. Yeah?
Yes, Mr. Vegas would be a very, very, very good input going forward as well.
If he's okay with it, then I'll send it to you.
No, I'm good.
All right, I'll send it to you.
I think we should recap the news that the Labour Party seems on course.
Marky would like to say something before my neighbor.
Yeah,
Marky
just quickly,
like
I just want to say though, I too want to add my bit of commendation to what Sir Joshua just said to Sir Vegas. Sir Vegas, I'm very impressed, sir, with your posture, with your analytical abilities, and your love for your country. I think those are the driving force to why you have been so, assertive in ensuring that person listen and see what's happening. As was mentioned earlier, the formal media is not pushing what the parties do because they are politically aligned. And so, as you rightfully said, Sir Vegas, we have to, in social media, do what we have to do to ensure the message get out there. And quickly to add, I believe, just like how we have the little jingles, when you're growing up in the 90s, you used to say, like, Grace have the commercial. It used to be like a movie you're watching to bring across the message. I think the GLP needs to start doing that for the older demographic, so what benefits you have for them. Putting it like in a skit form, a dramatization form, that's how these persons communicate and understand, So I'm agreeing with you, and I just commend you for your efforts, sir. So keep doing what you're doing.
Come on, big up.
I also want to publicly commend him even further. Sir Neighbor, I almost called out your government name. Because I used to you so long, But Neighbor, one of the things that we have to commend him, you see, when they had the anti-Jamaican campaign in the States,
yes,
Mr. Vegas spent his own money. He didn't ask government for money. He didn't ask public sector for money. His own money out of his own pocket and go and confront them in the States.
Exactly.
I definitely saw that. I saw that as well.
Who does, man?
There's respect for that, Mr. Vegas.
You don't get more patriotic than that.
Well, there's nothing to be, to shower me praise about because it's
no man. You have to give a man him flowers before him dead, man.
Because this is how I look at it, If Jamaica is, if people are looking at Jamaica in a negative light, then that that is detrimental to my business as well. Because remember, when I go there to perform anywhere in the world, I am actually promoting Jamaica and I'm inviting people to come to Jamaica. You understand? So when you're out there putting forward a message and driving fear into people, and messing up Remingtons and all of them things there, it breeds more chaos in a society and bring a bad image, paint a bad image of I so love and is out there promoting. So you're actually going against something that I'm doing. So it's still my duty. It's my duty. Like, your mother and your father take care of you and don't expect them to get no praise because they know it's their duty. It's my duty to protect this beautiful island. And when I see it is, growing and the country's, when I, coming down, I land in the plane. I've been flying for almost 30 years, and when the plane circles over and come across, I can see the country developing, those are the things that I watch. I can see the roads. I remember when I used to go to St. Thomas, it's beer, people that have a pothole now. I used to go to St. Thomas, I lick up my tire, I bust my rim. Now I drive to St. Thomas and reach quick. Yes, man, so I see the difference, and that's what I said earlier on. People are acting as if we did not live through the different administrations.
But in as much as you said you don't deserve the praise, it's like a father whose duty it is to look after his child and by extension the rest of his family, and yet he never does it, right? But he recognizes the importance of being the protector and provider of his family, and does it. And as such, even though it is his duty, he's praised for it. And you, by extension, as a patriotic Jamaican, I have seen persons far wealthier than you who don't care about Jamaica. All them care about is themselves. You know, many persons who do that. There are persons whose fame probably reach even further than yours, and they couldn't care less. All them can think about is what's going in their pocket, right? They don't care about the destruction of Jamaica or the survival of Jamaica. They will scrape from now till tomorrow, but they do nothing to build Jamaica, and you have done your part. So again,
honest with that reason, still to be honest with that reason, you know, because I remember said politics can be you know, a quote unquote dangerous thing when it comes down to how you do business and stuff like that. So some sacrifices that I may take, some people are not willing to. Some people sleep on the fence. That means if a PNP them safe, if a JLP them safe. So you know, and I don't knock a man for that. So it's how much you're willing to sacrifice to make, to see this country continue to grow.
But what you did, I never saw it as JLP or PNP, you know, at the time.
No, I'm not talking just in that instant. That is something that I think every Jamaican should do.
Right.
You know, and it's still, and guess what? It comes across that way as well, because I remember the opposing side, or the side that is out there, trying to bring down the country. They are actually politically aligned.
Right.
Yeah. So because of that, now you automatically become a supporter of the JLP.
And you're branded.
Even though it's no secret that I do support this administration. Yeah, why? Because I can see the things that the administration, is doing. I can see how the country is moving forward. I remember when 2016, when I interviewed, Dr. Andrew Holness, before he became Prime Minister, and I spoke to him about because at that time we were advocating to save Goat Island, and I was one of the advocates. And when I sat down and I spoke to him, I realized that this is somebody who genuinely cares about the people and cares about the country from that's 2015, 2016. So it's nothing new for me, in this arena, because I believe in this. I totally believe that he gets it. He's a person that came from humble beginnings like myself. And him get it, and I think one of the things that there's so much pushback at what he's doing. I think he's trying to tell the Jamaican people, the poor people, that listen me, you always get a handout, you always get a thing in your hand. Election time, or when your councillor, or when your MP come around, and pass a thing to you. I'm gonna give you a better way. I'm gonna create opportunities, and opportunities are something which helps solve poverty, So I think the pushback is because some people do not want the uneducated to be educated, the poor to move up from below the poverty line. So that is why some people are pushing back, and I sense this because it is no rocket science. When you say to somebody, say, you can go learn a trade and improve your paycheck. So these are the things that I pay attention to and go forward. But it's not everybody, again, is willing to take that step and willing to make such sacrifice.
Yeah. I want to suggest something to you finally. I think you would do very well hosting a radio program, a talk show kind of program, interview style. So it's just something I'm throwing out to you, in addition to what you currently do. That's it.
Maybe when we get older.
my final question, Mr. Baker, before we go, as someone with some form of social status, we have seen how the Jamaica Labour Party has been running this campaign. We're not just trying to connect with the base, but also the whole Jamaica on a wider level. What message would you send to the persons who are undecided out there, who are still trying to make up their mind?
As I said, earlier on, we just have to make the message simple, and leave it on the table. Like, look at what is happening. What has the PNP put forward? And I believe that based on what the PNP has been putting forward, corruption, Prime Minister thief, for them to be trailing in this poll. I think it's a major thing in my mind, and because they have put forward things that I think would have swayed the undecided voters, and the undecided voters, I think there are more undecided voters now, and that I think is a good sign for the Jamaica Labour Party. It means that whatever the PNP put forward, did not, grab them. So they are still out there, they're still hanging. So now you have to get to these people and ask them, what is the message that the PNP is putting forward that will change your mind? And so far, we have not heard anything. And I think these people will swing towards Jamaica Labour Party because there is a clear difference in the plans that are being placed before the people.
Respect enough for that, G.
Give it up.
Yeah, I know what I think Scratchy going forward.
Yeah, they're right.
I think every member of parliament going forward needs a communication task force, our team, our individual, meaning. So, for example, deep rural constituencies, they are more likely to have people benefiting or wanting of the social benefits. So when they are announced by the government structure, you want an information task force to every Labour Party MP who is responsible for storing out that information, whether in social media space or any other space. But you need a communication task force, because I think the problem with it.
Why you mute, Gusto? Gusto, you're mute.
Oh, me mute long time?
No, since about a couple seconds.
Oh yeah, so may I say every member of parliament needs a communication task force. So for example, deep rural constituencies, these type of people are more likely to need the social benefits, especially the one them in the sugar belt area where would remain poor for a long period of time because of the underdevelopment of PMP back them time there. So now that these people find themselves in a certain category because a certain industry closed down, they are more likely to be in need of the social benefits. So each member of parliament needs a communication team or individual who relates this message that comes from the hierarchy straight back to their constituents, therefore sensitizing people as to what the JLP government is about, separate from what the member of parliament is about, although he represents the JLP. Right? So that needs to be a mandatory thing where every member of parliament has a communication task force. When you go up on his Twitter page, you must see the latest information post by the information arm of the JLP. Every member of parliament must have it sensitizing its constituents. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. Excuse me, everybody. Can you tap the screen, please? The numbers are going down. The more you tap, the more persons will come into the live, and the live will go out on the For You page. So I'm asking you all to tap up the screen, please.
Mark Nation, what's your take, my boss? Mark,
open your mic.
It's my take still. But feel like says when I take say Furley and Philip and say, well, I'll get 48 seats. But when me and I say, I'll Franklin with it, that's how me type to Scratchy, I said to Scratchy. 1% Norman Scatter lead by Norman Scatter lead, Franklin with time and same just come. But me not worry about that. For the seat they can flip anywhere and Franklin with a win that seat. We're gonna start campaign it,
Yeah.
Remember, a seat there, Franklin with a seat, BB Cook win it 2 times for the PMP and went 1 time for the GLP. And Derek Rochester was a PMP element in that seat. When I check on the history, if I'm wrong, all right. But me not hear nothing upon Southern Chilana and Northern Chilana seat. If I turn on my TV,
yeah, I believe we were leading by what, 6% or something like that at Chilani?
Yes.
Yeah, the Chilani numbers, neighbor?
Yeah, man, 6%.
6%, yeah, we are leading by 6% at Chilani.
All right, what do you say about Hanover?
Hanover gone fully. Them are lead by 60%. Them are 60% lead to 14%. Them are lead to bad in Hanover. Hanover look like it.
Let me say two seat them good are gone then.
Yeah, the 2 seat
good are gone then.
Look like them gone.
Dave Brown. No, the poll, the poll maybe say something, you know, but on the ground. Me myself,
Yes,
everybody
exactly,
interview still, you know, with the poll, just give the poll give you insight. Where if you do some work, but the poll different from the ground and the day
Out of all
where you bring
14
off, you come vote. If
out of
wrong
all
or right,
14,
tell me something wrong or right.
you're right, man. Out of all 14 parish law mark, I know over them have the biggest lead, 60%. 60% to about 13%.
The surprise
Alright,
was
listen,
Manchester because I thought they were leading in Manchester.
Yeah, but man, how Manchester go again, Maki? What was the number?
But JP lead in Manchester overall.
Manchester tie.
All right.
Kingston and St. Andrew tie.
Oh, so what is about Kingston and St.
Kingston and
Andrew?
St. Andrew tie.
Yes. So we want to
Kingston and St. Andrew tie. Well, hello neighbors. What them say about St. Catherine, like from Portmore, Terrylang them side, go back to Weeki them side, Warmington them side. What them say about this, you know?
What's the number for St. Catherine?
Warmington can go in bed and cock up him foot and wake up the next morning and win the election. Dr. Kurt Wall don't have a chance against Warmington.
Yeah, but me I like but Mr. James, but me I say like all Portmore, them include Portmore and St. Catherine.
No, we never reached there.
And Mr. Joshua James. But to me
22-25?
32-25 in favor of the James.
32-25, man.
13 percentage points.
13%.
All right, well, that good still.
That's not bad for the overall.
13% point. Me them attack, man, give me some insight. What about the Westmoreland seat them? 3 Westmoreland seat them.
We are leader Westmoreland.
36-27.
36-27.
Wow, good.
It's a 9%.
Repeat the numbers, hello neighbors.
All right. So
Shana Digital.
Westmoreland.
Let's go.
We're by 9 points in Westmoreland.
Yeah, let's go through all of them. So the parties ahead by 6 points. Which is
that not sound bad.
Which is looking like about 48 seats at this point.
I will set that about 44. I believe that 44, 45 seats we will leave with.
Yes.
I don't think Hanover want no work. You see other people who are short-sighted, you can't do nothing to help their mental space. Me not think Hanover need no work. The people them, a miracle them I expect from Jamaica Labour Party. Look how long PNP have done there. So what kind of 40-year problem or 30-year problem one term can fix?
Hold on the tours. Delroy and go San James. What them say about St. James? That me want to know.
St. James is good.
We are leader St. James.
Right, but Delroy.
All right.
Remember the
He's leading
insight
by
that
21 points in St. James.
21 points we are lead by a St. James.
Right. Remember the insight that Mr.
That's a big margin in a scratching.
Big margin.
Yeah, man. Remember the insight that Mr. Vega gave us. Let us not say, boy, it don't make sense to work on any. No, anybody you meet, carry the message. We don't know what impact it may have.
Joshua, we are last time I carried the message about Portmore, or when them brought the word Portmore, from me over there, Super Mario and Infomeda. For some man attack something, I put some big man at them place. They have shut up some people. For some people, them Mr. Joshua James, and them say, someone the PMP, them say, a man come get them guns. Them say, you tell them, say, what would name one plan? Them can't answer. Hear them. Come like the leader. You will soon know. And I say, what do you soon know? Give me one plan.
All right.
Them
So Mark Nation,
blindsided,
brother. My concern about Kingston and St. Andrew.
Hold on. Let us allow neighbor to go through the numbers, and then afterwards we can discuss it.
Right, and
yeah, go ahead.
Earlier that we have to close round about 8 o'clock.
Hold on, the neighbor. Hold on there. Me see you send the thing, but me can't jump on right now. Maybe another 15 minutes.
We probably
just make a note.
Hello neighbor. What? Yeah. Hello neighbor. What them say about doing a St. Anseed? Oh, St.
No, man, let him go through
like
it, Mark.
Mark
Nation, let him go through all of them, and then afterwards we discuss it. If
okay,
we
Mr. James.
Yeah, okay, Mr. James. You won't get a chance.
Okay.
All right. So
we're
gonna begin with the fact that the there is a 14% lead for the Prime Minister over Mr. Golding, as far as it relates to when they ask Jamaicans who they would vote for if they were able to vote like presidential. The Prime Minister has a 14% point lead over the people's over Mark Golding. When they ask which party you would vote for in an election, if an election was called, at the time the poll was taken, the Labour Party enjoys a 6 percentage point lead over the People's National Party. And what the nationwide team, the Blue Dot team did, was they went from parish to parish to show how this breaks down. So let's start in Hanover. In Hanover, the PNP is at 64% to the Jamaica Labour Party, 14%. That's a 40-point lead for the PNP in Hanover. In Westmoreland, the JLP is at 36 percentage points, the PNP 27. That's almost a 10% lead scratch.
In where?
In Westmoreland.
Yeah, that's not bad at least. And everybody was saying Westmoreland going back orange.
Yeah, in Portland, the party enjoys almost 20 percentage advantage. 33. In St. Thomas, it's 40-24. In St. Mary, it's 37-24 in favor of the Labour Party. In St. Anne, it's 32% Labour, 26 PNP. In Trelawney, it's 40-36. So the Labour Party is only ahead by 4% in Trelawney. In St. James, it is a 21% lead for the party in St. James. In Kingston and St. Andrews, it's a dead heat. In Manchester, it's a dead heat at 29% each. In St. Elizabeth, it is also a dead heat, 37-37. And in St. Catherine, it is 32-25. So the party enjoys a 7% lead in St. Catherine.
Want to weigh in on the St. Elizabeth part of it, but not generally St. Elizabeth, specifically Northeast St. Elizabeth. Now, when you look at how long the PNP would have ruled Northeast St. Elizabeth since 1989 to 2020, and the PNP would have had government, councillors, and member of parliament, some of which were of proper stature. Most of them would have been government senator or minister, Roger Clark, Raymond Price. And when you look at Northeast St. Elizabeth, they have no receipt to show for the years of loyalty to the PNP, nor do they have the receipt to show for the caliber representation they got in terms of individuals, in terms of how they are rated in terms of caliber. And when you look that they were uprooted in a them bedrock, we never expect slowly to have a significant lead over PNP so quick. The thing is though, they should be more worried to know that they were never able, with all of the slandering with them try to do at the member of parliament and otherwise, they still managed to not separate themselves in their own backyard from the Labour Party. What it means, the polls cannot justify fully what Solly is doing in Northeast St. Elizabeth. Why? Because he's doing enough now that is enough to convince comrades to look, all these years we were voting for nothing and we finally got a chance to vote for something. So it is now backfiring on the PNP, especially after the local government, when they have the most deplorable road networks across the division in terms of parochial roads. They have the worst drain cleanage. Well, they don't have no drains are clean in the parochial areas versus when you're looking at the area where Christopher Williams, there as a councillor, and the member of parliament area. all things aren't perfect, but you can see the obvious difference. So therefore, that's a blow to the PNP, because whilst they are boasting on the local government results, it is now starting to backfire because comrades are becoming disgruntled because they have the worst parochial representatives, and they will be taking it to the polls for a general election to make up for them vengeance. Yes. So they are going to send a message to the PNP at the polls to say, look, we were once again taken for fools and we won't allow it, and we are going to use the member of parliament now to stay here and develop Northeast St. Elizabeth, because PNP neglected it, and the works of slowly now, it is getting a lot of traction, and these traction, probably most of it will turn out into votes.
Well said, Delroy. Maki, out of all the parishes that we are seeing, Maki, which one surprised you the most?
You know, to be honest, I'm gonna be very honest with you. I wasn't expecting Westmoreland to look this good, to be honest. And
yeah, for real.
And as I said, based on the parish council elections, my own parish, Manchester, I thought it would be blown away by the PNP. To see these numbers is encourageable. Any GLP candidate in Manchester right now should be buoyed by this. And it just goes to show that if the machine and the support comes on the ground, these seats that are tight based on the poll, it can be anybody game. And if the momentum keeps going to GLP, then I expect that should be favorable for them. So I'm encouraged to see what's happening in Westmoreland, because I believe I have 3 excellent MPs down there. And I'm happy for my own parish, Manchester, because I believe that what is happening in Manchester is not reflective of what the people's will in Manchester in terms of representation over the years. So I'm hoping that it can turn favor for them come the next election.
The tie in Kingston and St. Angelo, does that bring any shock or anything to you? Does that surprise you or anything? Are you worried about that?
Well, listen, I'm going to be very blatant. I'm very honest, blunt rather. I thought, in my opinion, that the candidate for mayor for the JLP the last time in the Kingston was a poor one. I have no confidence in him. I'm not afraid to say it. And I believe it had impacted the JLP's chance in the case, amongst other things. So the fact, based on the last election results, I can see where it can be tight there. But as I say, based on the momentum happening with the party now, if it is that are able to really push through on the momentum, I think they will come out ahead of the PNP.
And the 3 seats to watch in Kingston and St. Andrew are East Rural, West Rural, and Kingston Central.
Exactly. Central Kingston, you know, let me say this. Based on what I've been hearing from persons, you know, it is not, if PNP to win that, they have a high mountain to climb. That's what I'm hearing. That is what I'm hearing. And it's encourageable for Central Kingston. So if that can happen in Central Kingston as it stands now, it doesn't speak well for the PNP generally in Kingston.
Yeah, but West Rural and East Rural. We just have to go ahead.
I'm saying it says that is what you call a swing seats those.
Yes.
I think what will come down, you see, the 2 weeks leading to the general election is going to be very pivotal in those seats. And as I said to you, we love curry in Jamaica. If the curry is kept on the ground and the sort of vibes, it will translate into a victory. It's just that, as Mr. Vega said, I believe that we need now to craft a message and our audio imagery in such a way that shows that entertains and that brings persons to the facts, but also educates them as well. And I think if the JLP can do this successfully, it will go far away in the campaign. Far away.
So you would agree that right now it's down to the campaigning now?
Definitely. First of all, it is going to be on how you manage your organization on the ground. However, you see the national campaign that is pushed with the leader, of course, is going to go a far way in pushing the candidates over the line. I tell you, I'm just carrying the party. I'm sure that's.
Just to, I don't want to interrupt you. You said those seats that listen to me.
2 weeks or not, or 1 month. You know, matter them seat there are straight laborite seat. So them people are always organized. It's not no oh yes, me understand complacency, yes. But Mrs. Owens and Juliet Cockbird, they are organized. Them always in their seat, they in their seat every day. Them are organized. So 2 weeks, them they see there, me can say, yeah, listen to me, the election I call it, but me say we're going with them seat because Miss Owens and Cockbird, them always, if up to today, Miss Owens today, I fix our road and then see so to me, Labour Party can win see there easily. Me not for about 2 weeks. Easily them seat they're gone. Easy.
Facts done. Out all the parishes, which one shock you the most or surprise you the most?
Why? St. Elizabeth cannot chat me much. St. Elizabeth.
But you expected us to be more further ahead?
Further ahead in that because Floyd Green, Frank Witter, JC Hutchinson and slowly me really expect because me expect at least a 10-point lead in this, but it kinda shock me still, honestly. And Hanover. Yeah, me understand Hanover, I mean the 48% lead. No man, that too big. That too big, man. Yeah.
Hanover, they have 7 councillors from the local election. We do have 1 JLP councillor in Hanover.
The KSMC Scratchy, we both Laborite and PNP have basically the same amount of seats. It basically kind of split. So
I believe it's 15 seats in the KSMC.
Yeah, I think so. I think Laborite have about.
We have 9.
New Bustin.
We have
40.
more than them.
I think it's 40. It's
no,
40.
councillor seat.
Yes.
No, we are talking MP, we are talking member of parliament.
Party councillor, but I think it's 15 constituencies.
Yeah, I think so. So it kinda evil. Me not really worry about that, honestly. Yeah, me kinda expect that for KSMC. So yeah.
Bustin. Joshua?
Yes, sir.
Any surprise?
No, I was not. As I said to you earlier before the polls came out, that there are a few seats that I was concerned about, and I had mentioned that I would not have said them on the air. I still know, I still am aware of some seats that were not mentioned at all, right? I will still not mention them on the air, and it's because of certain factors.
Yeah.
Because you must never let your opponent know what your weaknesses are.
Exactly.
Right, and so I will not mention them here.
How about Hanover, Dave Brown and Tamika? Anything to worry? You think that just can give away Hanover?
I don't think we even if it seems insurmountable, you should never throw in the towel and say, "Boy, I surrender." I mean, except in the garrisons. The garrisons kind of all right, make those stay. But not throw your pearls before swines. You know, and I'm not calling human swine, but
exactly
as it relates to Hanover, I wouldn't throw in the towel. I just think that we need to up the groundwork, use a different strategy or increase our strategy. In addition to that, Manchester, that for me, I was on the fence because I know of a few things. You know, I keep my ears to the ground as much as possible, right? And I usually try and have persons within a particular constituency that when time come, I can speak with them to find out what's happening, right? Central Kingston, I expected this, and the reason, for more reasons than one.
Okay.
As I said, I was born in Almontown. I still have relatives down there.
Yeah, I know Almontown very well as well. Very well. I'm from the Fletcher's land side, so I know Almontown very well.
Right. And Regent Street, I still have relatives on Regent Street.
Okay.
Which is right beside Ministry of Finance.
Yes.
And I have relatives around by Dames Road. Right. And I was born on Anderson Road. So you see, I am an Almontownite, if there's such a thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? And I used to live at Canewood, a Ministry of Education, when my mother was staying up there for a while. Right. So I have relatives who were the caretakers. No, the husband was the caretaker. So because the husband was the caretaker and I was left with them, right? Then I lived up there for a while. So I know Almontown like that. right? So I know some issues that needed to be addressed. Plus, Swaby said it in one of the leaked recordings. He said they have more reasons than one why they want Central Kingston, right? And we know that they are throwing money left, right, and center into Central Kingston.
Yeah.
Right? It's no two ways about it. They are throwing money into Central Kingston, right? In addition to that, the history of Central Kingston, where the former Prime Minister Michael Manley used violence to cleanse Central Kingston of the laborites, and it's twice: the Gold Street massacre and the Green Bay unaliving, right? Twice it was done, right? So we don't put that past them either to use that, you know, again, to say, hey, you know, if it's that valuable to them, it is not off the table. And
Definitely.
so it's a fight to the finish for Central Kingston.
So Joshua, Belmont Road tonight should be feeling good, eh?
They should.
And let me just throw this in before we go, Scratchy. I personally, I think Churchill was the one who, is it Churchill or one of our guests? Chuck was the one who said yesterday. I was saying 4 percentage point, but Joshua, if the party has not yet started its election campaign, and they are 6 points up at this point, and are leading in every parish except Hanover, tied in St. Elizabeth, Manchester, and Kingston. If the party runs an effective, efficient campaign, we could possibly see the party holding on to every single one of its seats.
Yes. It should, however,
just based on the numbers tonight. If an election were called on these numbers, it's a 45 seat majority for the Labour Party.
Yes.
Which would be significant. And this would be historic, Joshua.
It would be.
Because which party seeking a third term can boast that they're in government, that they are up by 6 points?
With a soft campaign.
No, I would say almost zero campaigning.
Okay, almost zero campaign, Joshua. I'll agree with that as well.
Had it not been for people like us who is putting the work out there, the body of work out there, right? Probably the party would probably be about 10 points behind.
So Scratchy, who we need to send the bill to?
Belmont Road.
I think really, in as much as it would be good to get a check, I think we should really send a bill to ourselves, because it's really for Jamaica, and if Jamaica prospers, all of us have an opportunity to prosper.
As I always say, we do it for the love and we do it for the life.
But Scratchy,
but Joshua,
the numbers are devastating for the PNP.
It is
14 points ahead in popularity. The
it
party
is, and usually the incumbent gets weaker as the term drags on.
But you know why it is so devastating? Because when you look at the party's record of performance, and when you start to roll out additional programs on this, you know, some people are talking about a landslide, and I'm beginning to wonder if I have not been too conservative, you know.
Yes, exactly.
No, I don't think you are. In terms, all right. So there are 2 seats in particular that I'm very concerned about. I'll tell you off the air. It's not the work. It's not a lack of work, because the work is there. 2 things, and I will not get into the details. It's really a lack of organization. I think there is the team that the persons should have around them. The original team that they went in with, they scrap that team and have a new team. And because of that, there's a certain amount of disgruntlement. Right?
Especially, you remember we forecast that Manchester was 2-2.
Yes.
Is this the polls are dead on?
Yes, dead on. But I mean, before we go, Philippian, you have anything you like to add, Philippian?
I'm just here moderating.
Okay.
Yes, she's producing. And I see Fox Don has come on. Tomorrow, you see, Scratchy, we're going to break down these numbers a little bit more.
Yeah, we have to go more in details with them.
And discuss them little by little, because I suspect Joshua that I can't see how the national trend is against Hanover. Hanover is moving against the national trend. How comes?
You know, I'll say something to you that it's like a woman, God forbid, and with due respect to the female here with us and those in the panel, it's like a woman who had a man who was not only showed her scant regard, and many men have come and gone and didn't see her fit enough to get married to her, right? And here's a man that take her up, not only see it fit to get married to her, but treat her like a lady, right? And then having done that, he started introducing her to a better life, better lifestyle also, the finer things in life. But because of the Stockholm syndrome, she's accustomed to being treated so badly that the good life, she cannot appreciate it. So she wants to go back to her old lover, you know, because this man too soft, yeah. Hanover reminds me of that kind of woman.
Yeah. Brother, I don't see one of the commentator said the PNP has stalled, that they have stalled, and after campaigning for 4 years, for you to have stalled, I think diarrhea is setting in at Old Hope Road. I think these numbers are going to send shock waves and panic inside the PNP. You suspect that they're going to get desperate from here on in facts done?
Is it these numbers?
The numbers that we hear tonight, they are devastating for the PNP. The Prime Minister is 14 points up. The party is 10% more popular. The candidates have 6% chance winning over their PNP rivals. The number suggests that the party has at least 44 seats in the bag. A party seeking a third consecutive term in government in Jamaica, facts done. To be 6 points ahead with a leader who is 15% more popular than the opposition. The opposition's outlook is bleak.
Yes, it's quite. I think so. What I think the PNP, like after hearing this result tonight, what I think they're gonna do is they're gonna fine tune that propaganda machine,
but that has not worked, Don. As a matter of fact, you may
violence
argue
will come into play now. Violence will come into play now.
The results that we have tonight are a direct result of the propaganda that they have played. It has backfired spectacularly, just like how sending PJ out to open the batting he got clean bowled and that backfired.
Duck. He got a duck. He got a duck.
First ball, duck.
Clean bowl, first ball, no runs on the board, and we are in the fourth over. What is? But you know, Joshua, I am beginning to be concerned about our democracy because we need an opposition.
I'm not yet concerned about it. We need an opposition. However, if the opposition is going to be not only opposing for opposing's sake, but an opposition that is not afraid to blatantly falls in its rhetoric, right? And will do anything, including disrupting productivity and to campaign against its own country on the international scene, then that kind of, it's better we have none.
But Joshua, how credible is the Blue Dot poll?
It has grown in credibility, and it is continuing to develop a name for itself, which is now being respected even more than, as one of our panelists earlier referred to, Mr. Con Anderson's poll. You know? Because there was a time that Don Anderson, though not always accurate, in fact most of the time he's not, accurate, was developing a certain amount of credibility. But he has sold his soul on the altar of PNPism, right? And as a result of that, people are no longer trusting him, right? And I think he has done himself and his branding a great disservice by the approach that he has decided to take.
Are there any risk that complacency might set in on the part of the Jamaica Labour Party, and the bloggers, the vloggers, the PR team will begin to start celebrating too early?
No. As it relates to the PR team and the bloggers, I'm not worried about them. Who I'm worried about is the voters. Because I know a little more than the public would know to say that the communication arm has no intention of slowing down, right? So that I'm not worried about. What I'm concerned about is people, the voters, who would listen and say, boy, we win already. So we have this win already mentality. So I don't necessarily have to go out. I warned against it leading up to the parish council election, right? I even spoke to some persons at Belmont Road about the word that I got on the road, right? And it played out exactly as I got it, right? I mean, not even veered, not even one iota, right? And so how the question is, how do we strategize not only to have a broad message out there, but to ensure that we can reach those voters on a one-to-one basis to say to them, hey, instead of relaxing because you think that we have won the election already, but rather how do we press home for the advantage? Don't do like the Reggae Boys, wherein boy we played a very good game up to 89 minutes, and at the 90th minute a ball is scored and we end up losing the game or tying the game.
Yeah. In polling, Scratchy, they have what is called longitudinal, establishing a longitudinal trend. You think that this poll alone is sufficient to basically tell us what the outcome is going to be, or do we wait for some others? We have two polls working with now. We have the internal polls of the party, and we have this Blue Dot poll. Do you think that other polling is necessary to confirm what we are hearing tonight?
Yeah, sometimes it's good when you have more than one option to cross-reference from to see where it's data. Data can sometimes data can be different in a different day. So I think it's good when we have more than one source.
Yes.
But I mean, as Joshua said, Blue Dot has become very credible in over the last couple of years. So let's see how the party polls itself and the other poll that is out there, let's see how best they compare with the Blue Dot poll, and then we can take it from there.
Haven't we been saying, Scratchy, that there is a shift in momentum, that we have been realizing it, that something is happening since the Labour Party's conference in Jamaica, and it was being picked up on the ground, and it was clear. These numbers are not surprising at all,
Yeah, we could feel it once you're a part of the Jamaica Labour Party and you're active and analyzing this stuff. You could feel it, you could see it coming.
Yes, and so I think Labour Party supporters tonight are buoyed, but Joshua is cautioning against complacency and is actually suggesting that he has information that nothing like that is going to happen.
Yeah, we cannot be complacent right now, because neighbor, when you're looking on the social media, and trust me, right now when you are off 8 o'clock, we have like 5-6 more bloggers still on. If you wake up 5 o'clock in the morning, you have a next team on 5 o'clock in the morning. So it's right around the clock the message has been sent. There's no ease up.
Wow. Maki Flex?
My thing is this.
You're going to have to buy the drinks, Maki, so that we can stay up.
No problem, man. No problem. Yeah. The thing is, as I said to you, very quickly, so I am a Central Jamaican, so in Manchester here. So I'm curious what happened in St. Elizabeth. I'm curious what happened in Clarendon, right? And for me, as I said to you, I'm a bit surprised that St. Elizabeth is this close based on the profile of the MPs that we have down in the Labour Party side. However, it just goes to show that it gives a more impetus to my mind for us to really put some work in and dot the I's and cross the T's. You know, for Manchester, as I said to you, based on the nature and the culture of the parish and what has happened in the last parish council election, I am buoyed by this to say that there's hope for more inroads to be achieved. You understand? So I'm looking at this and I am just waiting. Because one of the issues, you know, as Joshua pointed out earlier, the communication team was one of the issues last February for me. I don't think the message was being connected. I don't think there was much energy. What we see now, compared now, we get the energy on the ground, the communication is working. And I believe, I don't know what your comment on this, but I very believe that the General Secretary, you know, the JLP shouldn't be an MP or a cabinet member. I believe the JLP should be running like a business where you have your party workers around 24/7 straight around here.
I think they have corrected that, you know, in terms of the deputies.
Greetings, my sister.
I mean, we have a very hard-working deputy. I mean, a man who's always behind the scene, but he's working very hard.
Yes.
I know that personally for sure.
Are you from Central Manchester, Mackie?
Yeah, man, Manchester Central, Mandeville Division
And,
to be exact.
and Manchester right now, we have it in terms of our forecasting as 2-2. Many people are concerned that Rhoda, although she has been such an inspiration, is like
she has a national profile,
and she does, and I just hope that the party is going to be sending a strong team around her there to get her over the edge. You think she can do it again, eh?
Nothing's impossible, and I believe from once I just said the strong team comes, it will be, because listen, I tell you this much. The nature and the pulse of the people, when you speak to the persons who are progressive in the parish, in divisions, they don't support the PNP. So when you say that the PNP wins all the time or have a strong advantage, it's not reflective of the people. However, I must concede that I believe the party generally could have done much more for the parish, my humble opinion. However, the pulse of the party, they don't get the impression they're really not the PNP, but there's so many factors happening here, you know. So many factors in this constituency that has to be considered. But for me, the two that you mentioned, I think Northeast will go back. They need to set the candidates up there and get them going now, right? And I like South Manchester, I'm not telling you no lie. But my good friend Damian Young, we go high school together. I really want him to come through. I tell you the truth. Really, really want him to come through. So let's see.
Can you get him to talk with us?
I believe I'm going to try to work on it during the course of this week. See how best we can get him on as quickly as possible.
Yes, it will be important. And if you can't get him on, get on one of his worker. And there's a girl down there by the name of Prosperity, Polly. I'd like to speak to her. Yes. You know what they say about momentum in politics? That is like a train, you know. That once the momentum is on your side, it's not easy to stop, you know.
I'm happy with St. Elizabeth. What I'm thinking about with St. Elizabeth is St. Elizabeth produced the most ground provision, the most food for Jamaica. St. Elizabeth is considered the breadbasket parish. And one of the advantages I think in that is that St. Elizabeth also holds the Minister of Agriculture. I think going forward, with a lot of plans that are already in place for the agricultural sector that are supposed to be rolled out, I think we will see some changes in St. Elizabeth most definitely.
So guys, as we close out tonight, the big news is that and we have been building up to this, that the Jamaica Labour Party is on course to win a record third term in government. I think this news is going to reverberate across Jamaica like a tsunami scratching, eh?
I would like to hear the opposition. Reaction in all this.
Well,
that's what I like to hear. What they come with now. What propaganda they're gonna come with.
But neighbor, just before you leave, I want to address Joshua because I heard him say something earlier, and I'm pretty sure. So I heard him say something about 2 seats. I mean, one of the seats, I know they try to second the candidate, but the one of the aspirant, he's putting. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's gonna get the go ahead from the party. He is putting in a lot of work. So I understand he got let's say worries and stuff about that seat, but the aspirant, which I think he'll be successful, is putting in a lot of work. So I mean, don't lose up on that seat, because like I said, even this weekend I seen them keeping meetings and they putting in a lot of work. So if the party should pick him, I expect us to win that seat.
Fantastic. Philippians, as usual, thank you so much. I'm sure Philippians is monitoring some other channels even now.
Philippian is very hardworking, you know.
Very
She's a trooper. She's a trooper, and I will say, one other thing I want to, as an aside, since we're on this platform, any relationship that people have, there will be differences of opinions, right? Somewhere, somehow along the journey. It is going to happen. It's not a matter of if it will happen. It is going to happen that sometime along the journey, as laborites, we are going to have views that are different, approaches that are different, attitudes that just rub people the wrong way. Let us not forget why we're on this platform, right? And let us not air our grouses in public, but rather find a way to resolve it quickly and move on and understand that this is for Jamaica. All right? And I'm not saying this because anything has happened, but, you know, I'm just putting it there.
Blessings. The church can say amen to that.
Naki Flex, Pax done. Scratchy.
Well done.
You've been a great support, sir.
Well done. Another day. Well done, Maki. Well done, Joshua. Well done, Fox done.
Yes.
Yes, man. Everybody take care and blessings.
Yeah, man.
It's my pleasure, man. This is for Jamaica, and as my brother, hello neighbor, is building a repertoire for putting out quality content. You know, he will remember the small ones like us when he moves from informal media to the formal media platforms, and remembered where he started out with the little ones like us.
God be praised. God be praised. God be praised, Joshua.
God be praised.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right, Scratchy. Want to meet you soon.
Most definitely, man. I have coming home for the election, man.
All right.
Let him know that he's not the original Scratchy here, neighbor.
Yes. Yes. The Grammy winner.
No, man. Remember our Scratchy, man.
Okay. Yes.
You forget our Scratchy?
Yes.
Yeah, man. Let him know
what a personality.
Yes.
What a personality. So, Scratchy, you're in Canada?
Yes, I'm in Canada.
All right. We talk, eh?
Yes, man. Bless up.
Pick up yourself.
Bless you,
Take
man.
care, people.
Mm-hmm.
Jefferson guy at this moment. So many people have left Jamaica and migrate to a different country just because of the Jefferson. And how the hell you guys acting like Jefferson is a new guy? The Jefferson guy is not a new guy. I've always been there. The Jefferson guy was always there. He was an advisor for the deadly attack, the Finstop, the Nightmare, and L Street. That was my